including universities, polytechnics, and in both school infrastructure and manpower. The Association of Greater ENUGU Media Professionals has called for fairness, equity, and justice in the distribution of positions and social amenities in Enugu State. The chairman of the association, Regis Anikwaji, made the call when the members paid a courtesy call on the president of Signature TV, Vin Martin Obiorilo, at corporate headquarters of the station at Thinkers Corner, Enugu. Correspondent Raymond Kanmbata has the report.
The Greater ENUGU Media Professionals is made up of journalists from 3 local governments of Enugu State, including Aninri, Ogo, and Oji River local government areas who historically belong to the former Ogo division. Speaking during the visit, the chairman of the association, Regis Anikwaji, congratulated the president and chief executive of Signature TV for his vision and courage to establish such a capital-intensive edifice in Enugu. He said that the association was primarily set up to unite professionals from the 3 local government areas into a formidable think tank that will drive development, especially in the areas of provision of infrastructure and security.
This association is looking for the unity, understanding. It's made up of Ogu, local government, Aninri local government, and Oji River local government. This whole Ogu division. So we have 3 local governments in Enugu West. And we have been moving around advocating for unity, understanding of our people, development of our area. Because we have also discovered that we have all it takes for us to develop. But one of our challenges is coming together to speak with one voice and ask for what we need. Because when you fail to ask for what you want, what you need, nobody will care for it. So that's our major aim of coming together as media professionals, and we believe that we can do this advocacy.
The vice chairman of the association, Kenneth Oforma, who said that he has featured as a guest in some programs on Signature TV, commended Vin Martinilo for bringing television broadcasting to the doorsteps of the people of Enugu State and the entire Southeast. Oforma, who said that he thanked him for the support he had given to the association in the past and assured that the group wants to make positive impact in articulating the development agenda of the area.
Now we have come up with the television aspect. So give additional voice for our people, not only the people of Greater ENUGU, but the people of Enugu State and Nigeria, because we are international. We are proud. We are proud of the outfit I have featured in the program here, on the current affairs programs, and seeing the quality of human resources, quality of equipment, the caliber of staff. I was proud of being identified as the vision.
The president of Signature TV, Vin Martin Obiorilo, noted that the aims and objectives of the Greater ENUGU Media Professionals align with those of Signature TV, which is to give voice to the underreported and ensure greater inclusivity in the society.
We should be able to tell our story. When there is an editorial board meeting and they are going to decide which stories to be treated, some of us from Greater ENUGU should say, there was flooding in an area. We need to go and cover it. There is erosion in Oji River. There's a security challenge, We must focus on it. If you don't cry about your problem, nobody will hear it. So, and the other angle to bring our people, our political leaders, our industrial entrepreneurs together, the academia, to look at peculiar challenges of Greater ENUGU is, as they say in today's world, is on point. Maka, a goat that belongs to the public most nights go to sleep hungry. So if the media in Greater has seen all this lacuna, all these lapses, all these holes, and you have put it, taken it upon yourself to bring everybody together to talk about it, you're on point. And I want to say, for those of us that are here at Signature TV, that it aligns with what, with our objectives, to identify local issues and pursue them and bring them to light.
Ilo said he will encourage staff members who are from Greater Ogo to join the association, describing their cause as worthwhile. Raymond Ken Mbata, reporting for Signature TV. The Greater Ogo Media Professionals is made up of journalists from 3 local governments of Enugu State, including Anenri.
Human rights activist and senior advocate of Nigeria, Femi Falana, says the decision of the federal government to pardon the Ibom Air passenger Comfort Emerson is because of a failure to charge Fuji Star Wasiu Ayinde Marshal with appropriate criminal offences. Falana, who stated this in a statement, said the government has lost the moral right to prosecute any unruly passenger who commits an offence at any of the nation's airports. He frowned at the way the government handled the case against the Fuji Star over its recent conduct at Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport, Abuja, and how it hastily accepted his apology and granted him pardon without allowing the police to conclude its investigation. Falana noted that since citizens have equal rights, obligations, and opportunities before the law, the federal government would henceforth be accused of subjecting any unruly passenger to discriminatory treatment on the grounds that Wasiu was pardoned without any criminal trial whatsoever. The senior special assistant on media to the Delta State Governor, Osai Success, has offered a paid job and an all expenses paid trip to Comfort Emerson, the Ibom Air passenger recently released from Kirikiri prison. In an Instagram post on Wednesday, Osai also announced that a monthly salary of 500,000 naira had been secured for Emerson in Delta State, which also includes flight tickets, accommodation in a 5-star hotel, a guided tour, and a ticket to the Delta Social Media Summit scheduled for August 28 in Asaba. So I added that the trip was to help her relax and unwind after release from Kirikiri prison. The Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Interior and Chairperson of the Investigative Panel on Corruption and Abuses in the Correctional Service, Magdalena Ajani, has called for a structural collaboration between the Nigerian Correctional Service and various medical associations to improve healthcare delivery in correctional facilities across the country. She spoke at a 3-day public hearing in Abuja. Correspondent Chimize Nzedema reports.
Declaring the hearing open, panel chairperson Dr. Magdalena Ajani, who is the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Interior, said the sitting was to examine corruption, abuse of power, and human rights violations within the correctional system, with a view to identifying systematic gaps and recommending reforms.
The mandate of this panel is clear. 1, to examine allegations of corruption, abuse of power, human rights violation, and other forms of misconduct against officials and institutions of the Nigerian Correctional Service, to identify systemic gaps and weaknesses that enable such misconduct, to recommend actionable measures for accountability, redress, and reform.
Health and Welfare Official for the Correctional Service, Abdullahi Shehu, told the panel that while Correctional Service Act 2019 provides for separate buster and training institutions for male and female young offenders, only 3 male busters homes in Abeokuta, Ilorin, and Kaduna are currently functional. He stressed the need for adequate profiling of young offenders to guide rehabilitation programs.
The Nigerian Correctional Service has a healthy collaboration with the administration of remand homes in states and approved schools and other relevant government institutions like the police, NAPJIP, the courts, and NDLEA in areas of vocational and educational training. The Nigerian Correctional Service does not engage in any informal places of deprivation of liberty for children and young persons.
Speaking for the Nigerian Society of Clinical Psychology, Dr. Abigail Oni warned that minors in adult facilities face severe emotional, psychological, and developmental trauma. She called for the immediate relocation of all underage detainees to remand homes or juvenile correctional centers, the establishment of such facilities in every senatorial district, and introduction of structured rehabilitation programs led by qualified psychologists.
The presence of minors in adult correctional facilities is unacceptable and must be addressed urgently. Our professional assessment shows that children housed in adult facilities face severe emotional, psychological, and developmental harm. We therefore strongly recommend the following. Immediate relocation of all underage detainees to appropriate remand homes or juvenile correctional facilities.
Representative of the Controller General of the Correctional Service, DCG Ibrahim Idris, said no minors were admitted into custodial centers during the last nationwide protest, noting that those arrested were rejected due to age and kept at police stations. He, however, lamented that many state government remand homes were not functioning, creating pressure to transfer underage offenders to correctional centers.
Anybody that is not up to 18, even if he commits robbery or murder case, they are taken to the remand homes, not to the prison. It is when they attain the age of majority or maturity that they will now be transferred to the prisons. Unfortunately, as we speak, most of the states' remand homes are not functioning.
In response to the presentation, Dr. Ajani directed the Nigerian Correctional Service to within 4 weeks submit a detailed report on the status and classification of the Ilorin facility, as well as to take urgent action to address poor sanitary conditions at the Abeokuta Bosta home. She further ordered that a comprehensive status report on all Bosta institutions, whether gazetted or not, be submitted to the panel within 2 weeks.
So as a matter of urgency, you need to report to the CG and a team should be dispatched to Abeokuta to look at the sanitary situation and rectify. Then the second one is on Ilorin. Whether it's a booster home or a halfway home, it must be clearly defined.
Panel Secretary Dr. Uju Agomo highlighted the need for a mapping of all states' facilities for young offenders, proper classification of custodial and halfway homes, and strengthening of collaboration between the Correctional Service and state agencies.
The relationship between the Nigerian Correctional Service and state agencies that provide facilities for detention of young persons. Clear strategies were recommended as to what can be done to ensure effective collaboration, especially given the fact that correctional service is now placed in the concurrent legislative list.
The day's deliberation also touched on informal detention centers, the plight of children born in female custodial facilities, drug rehabilitation for young offenders, and the need for more clinical psychologists within the system. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zadima for Signature TV.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has warned Nigerians against multiple registrations in the forthcoming Continuous Voters Registration CRV exercise, which is scheduled to commence from August 18 with online registration. The resident electoral commissioner in Plateau State, Mohammed Sadiq, issued a warning during a meeting with stakeholders at the resumption of a CVR across the country. Sadiq said that such a move would not only attract grave consequences, but that anyone caught will be completely delisted from the voter register. The REC will also advise residents of Plateau who have registered before to take advantage of a CVR exercise and collect their PVCs, said the commission had put modalities in place to ensure that non-Nigerians do not participate in the exercise, called on traditional rulers, religious leaders, political parties, and other critical stakeholders to sensitize the eligible residents to participate in the exercise. Meanwhile, the Commission in Osun State says voters who are on the voting queue before 2:30 p.m. on Election Day will still have a chance to vote. The Osun INEC Resident Electoral Commissioner Mutiu Agboke made this known during a stakeholders meeting in Osogbo in preparation for the commencement of a continuous voter registration exercise and publishing of the 2026 Osun State gubernatorial election timetable. He warned voters against breaking the queue and insisting on voting after the official closing time, which he said is a criminal offense that would attract prosecution. The INEC boss also said it will relocate the CVR centers from local government secretariats currently under lock in the state. Aboke announced that activities for the August 8, 2026 Osun governorship election have officially begun, with notices posted in all INEC local government offices. Party primaries are scheduled between November 24 and December 15, 2025, while submission of candidates' particulars will run from January 15 to February 9, 2026. Still to come, Lagos seals Ijora property over sewage discharge. NCC NSA seek public support to protect telecom infrastructure. These and more after the break.
We are local.
International communities observing the why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended say aye. Aye. We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV News.
Lagos State Waste Water Management Office has sealed a property located at number 2229 Moshood Abiola Way, Ijara, for allegedly discharging untreated sewage directly into public drains. Lagos State Commissioner for Environment and Water Resources, Tokunbo Wahab, made this known on his verified X handle, describing the incident as a clear violation of environmental safety standards. Wahab said the action was carried out following findings that indiscriminate waste disposal was causing environmental pollution, creating a public nuisance and posing serious risk to human health. He urged residents to adopt proper waste water management and maintain good hygiene practices as part of efforts to safeguard environmental sustainability. Commissioner reiterated that acts of environmental nuisance and pollution will attract stiff penalties, including prosecution, stressing that the government remains committed to enforcing sanitation regulations across the state. The Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Institute for Advanced Legal Studies, Professor Mohammed Taufik Laden, has urged Nigeria to leverage digital trade and economic diversification to boost its economy. The charge is coming as Professor Ngozi Ibuna, International Center for Regional Integration and Trade Research in Nnamdi Azikiwe University, Awka, held a hybrid international conference to celebrate Nigeria's 30 years as a member of the World Trade Organization, WTO. Ladan said while Nigeria has made efforts to diversify its economy, challenges remain in developing a competitive manufacturing sector due to factors such as unreliable electricity, infrastructure deficits, and competition from imports. Professor of Regional Economic Integration, Law and Practice in Africa noted that the future prospects for Nigeria in the WTO depends on effectively addressing these challenges and leveraging opportunities for digital trade and economic diversification. He bemoaned the infrastructure deficit in the country, adding that Nigeria has also faced some challenges due to trade policies. However, praised the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFTAC, for their push to promote intertrade in Africa. The Nigerian Communications Commission has called for stronger public cooperation in safeguarding telecommunications infrastructure, warning that service disruptions could undermine the economy and national security. The Commission made a call in a statement after brokering a deal to avert a strike by the Natural Oil and Gas Suppliers Association of Nigeria over fuel supply issues that would have cut off diesel deliveries to thousands of telecom sites. The NCC Chief Executive Officer, Aminu Maida, said the agency will continue to enforce technical standards and work closely with security agencies, operators, and the public to safeguard the assets. He also urged Nigerians to see infrastructure as a shared national asset that powers everything from business transactions to healthcare and education. Intervention led by the Office of the National Security Advisor in partnership with the NCC highlighted how fragile the country's connectivity is. Available data show that Nigeria's $75 billion telecom industry relies on more than 40 million liters of diesel monthly to keep towers running due to unreliable grid power. As the football community and indeed other Nigerians count down to the final farewell of one of Nigeria's greatest sporting icons, emotions ran high as dignitaries, loved ones and teammates paid tribute to the late Christian Chukwu. And it was filled with memories, music and moments that celebrated the life and legacy of the man fondly called Chairman. Correspondent Emmanuel Tewase saw it all.
In a heartfelt ceremony at the ENUGU International Conference Center, Nigerians from all walks of life gathered to honor the late Christian Chukwu, a football legend whose unifying legacy transcended the pitch. Family, friends, and dignitaries celebrated his humility, leadership, and profound impact with tributes highlighting his role as a national icon who inspired generations through his skillful play and fatherly presence. Enugu State Governor Peter Mba announced plans to immortalize Chukwu, pledging to preserve his legacy as a symbol of Igbo unity and a national treasure. Mba also vowed to support the welfare of all ex-Rangers players.
When I learned of his death, it felt as though a part of our collective spirit had left us. As a fitting tribute to his exploits, as a central defender, we would be henceforth retiring the iconic number 5 jersey that Chairman Chukwu proudly wore.
The daughter of Christian Chukwu, Adora Adibe, described her father as the best dad who was always available despite his demanding football career. She also spoke of his great sense of humor, which left a lasting mark.
No matter how busy he was or how far away he traveled, stayed deeply involved in our lives. That made us feel truly seen and loved.
Stella Onwe, speaking for her siblings, revealed that Chukwu, being the first son of the family, was a pillar of peace and unity who listened, offered solutions, and supported everyone.
Our consolation is that you lived a fulfilled life that inspired us all. You may be dead, but the canopy of love and peace you represent in our family will never be removed.
The general manager of Rangers International Football Club, Amobi Ezak, described Chukwu as not just a player, but a mentor who inspired generations and shaped teams with his fatherly advice and presence. While Igwe Okoro, speaking for ex-Rangers, highlighted Chukwu's leadership and vision that earned him the title Chairman.
Chairman Chukwu was more than a legend of the game. He was the game. His name evokes memories of glory, of discipline, and of unwavering loyalty to the badge. He was not only a captain in the field, but also commanding respect from his colleagues, guiding, inspiring, always seeking the best of his team.
The chairman of the documentary committee for the burial committee, Ben Etiaba, and former Inspector General of Police, Ogbonnaya Onovo, called him a selfless leader admired across ethnic divides.
As we bury Christian, if all we achieve the process is to begin to think more about the ex-Rangers veterans who led us back to national reckoning after the war. If that's all we achieve in taking care of their welfare, would have been worth it for Christian.
If we're in a security circle, we say he's an officer and a gentleman. An officer, a gentleman, in and out of the
Elder statesman Jim Nwobodo, represented by Oke Ogbodo, said Chukwu wrote his name in gold through his commitment to excellent football, uniting Nigerians with his skillful play. The chairman of the burial committee, Lord Ekweremadu, hailed him as an institution in Nigerian football whose influence shaped young stars and left an indelible mark.
Christian Chukwuemeka Chukwu, a trailblazing Nigerian football legend, impacted the beautiful game in a manner that will probably never be forgotten.
Sports icon, a national hero, and an inspiration to generations. Chairman Christian Chukwu, MFR.
The night featured a documentary on Christian Chukwu's life, leadership, and journey to stardom.
The Igbos were not regarded in football-wise and so on because we are fighting war.
Musical rendition by various groups also provided the ambience for a sober reflection on the life of the football icon. The mood at this event is an indication that the earthly journey of Chairman Christian Chukwu and the echoes of his life will resound in the hearts of many for generations to come. Emmanuel Tewasi, Signature TV News.
Nigerians have been reacting to the 4-0 thrashing of home-based Super Eagles in the hands of the Sudanese national team at the Mount Stadium, Zanzibar in Tanzania on Tuesday. The defeat leaves Nigeria bottom of Group D with no points and no goals from 2 matches, following their earlier 1-0 loss to Senegal. Our correspondent Christopher Lele reports.
والرابع على السوداني وعلى الطاير كورة على الطاير ولا أروع من خلال صلاح الدين عادل رباعية والسوبر منتخب الصقور.
Tuesday's loss by Nigeria is their heaviest African Nations Championship defeat since the 4-0 loss to Morocco in the 2018 final. Some football fans expressed disappointment that the Super Eagles had to be sent home at the group stage. They blamed it on lack of coordination, poor finishing, and reliance on individual talents.
Napoli refused to release Victor Osimhen on 2 occasions, and those 2 occasions Nigeria either lost or drew the game, and that's why Nigeria is struggling right now to qualify for the World Cup 2026. But I want to assure you that the boys know what they are doing, and Nigeria is stronger than ever now in the male soccer team, the Super Eagles of Nigeria. They've promised Nigerians that they must qualify. So, once in a while, you will lose. And that's the success of football. You lose, you win, you forge ahead. Otherwise, it will no longer be interesting.
Overall, our female national teams, whether in basketball, whether in football, has done well. Have they done more than the guys? Maybe yes. But there is too much comparison on that. Female football and male football is not to be a match. It's not to be a match.
We are not happy that the Chan Eagles lost this game because they are talking about their counterparts. We are talking about the female side, the Super Falcons. They just won the WAFCON. The D Tigers also won the Afro Baskets, and we are expecting that. That winning mentality, momentum, the Chan Eagles, they are going to tap from it. But so sad that they did not get that result. And this one boils down to how bad the MPFA is, talking about the Nigerian Premier Football, which is the top tier football in Nigeria here.
Some respondents advised the male football teams to understudy their female counterparts and find out the secrets behind their sterling performance over the years that have made them undisputed champions in Africa.
So I think that never dies spirit. That's what we want. That motivation should be there. I think the boys, they were not too determined to win that game. They commit a whole lot of defensive errors.
Keywords are dedication, and hard work. If you know a competition is coming, you get dedicated to the instructions of the coach or the coaches. Obey every instruction and ensure that you attend the trainings.
I don't think there's anything they are doing differently that their male counterparts are not doing. Because if you look at it, the bigger investment is even going to the male folks, to the Super Eagles, to the Tigers. But, you know, the Tigers and the Super Falcons don't even have as much as, money being pumped into them than we have for the male folks. So I think it's just determination and sheer luck, because there is no way you want to detach sports from luck.
They also identified the lack of necessary facilities and welfare packages to propel the teams to success.
It's a reflection of the MPFA. It means that our league is not good, and because they are not getting, we don't have good facilities. We don't have the welfare package for these players is not good. We're also talking about some of the MPFA clubs. They don't have a youth system where they can infuse, younger players to, the main team. These are the things that boils down to, affect these players.
Yes, we have seen a lot of players, like in football, who refuse to play for Nigeria. Reasons being that when you get injured, Nigerian government will not take care of you. They will abandon you, and then your career will end. It has happened to so many players in Nigeria, but it was of recent that they started doing it, rightly.
As the curtain falls on another disappointing campaign, Nigerian fans can't help but wonder what's next for the country's storied teams. Can Nigeria's male teams rediscover their winning formula and bring glory back home? This no doubt requires serious collaboration between the government, sport administrators, players and Nigerians in general to turn the tide and restore the country's former glory. Christopher Lele, reporting for Signature TV.
Next is Stock Report.
At the close of trading on the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday, August 13th, a total of 1.34 billion shares valued at 20.18 billion naira exchanged hands in 30,737 deals. This represents a 5% increase in volume compared to the previous session, but a 17% drop in turnover and a 1% decline in total deals. The market capitalization now stands at 92.3 trillion naira, reflecting the day's mixed investor sentiment. Out of 128 equities traded, 53 closed in the green while 21 ended lower. Caverton Offshore Support Group topped the gainers list with a 10% rise to close at 7 naira 92 kobo per share, alongside Learn Africa with a 10% increase, also closing at 7 naira 70 kobo per share, followed by FTN Cocoa Processors with a 10% increase and Triple G with a 10% increase. On the losing side, Thomas White Nigeria shared 10% to close at 3 naira 42 kobo, followed by UPDC closing at 5 naira 17 kobo with a 7.94% decrease. The NGX All-Share Index lost 191.11 points, that's 0.13%, to close at 145,864.78. Despite the daily dip, the index remained up 0.03% for the week, 13.1% over the past 4 weeks, and 41.72% year-to-date. Analysts say the market's resilience continues to be driven by strong investor interest in blue-chip stocks and positive medium-term earnings outlooks. The Naira showed mixed performance across official and parallel markets on Wednesday, August 13th. At the Central Bank of Nigeria's official window, the Naira closed at 1,535 naira 45 kobo to the US dollar, reflecting minimal change from the previous session. In the parallel market, Rates averaged 1,517 naira per dollar, indicating a slight depreciation compared to earlier trading. Market analysts note that demand pressures remain a key factor influencing exchange rate movements. Monitoring will continue as traders await further policy signals from the Apex Bank. That's the update from the Nigerian stock and money market this Thursday morning. In Abuja, I am Humsinime Natus.
Up ahead, insulin shortage pains Congo diabetics in conflict-hit East. Storm Podo brushes Hong Kong, bringing heavy rains and delaying live trial. Stay with us.
Save Nature TV. News in your pocket.
In a small refrigerator at a Kivu Diabetic Center in Bukavu, Eastern Congo, Dr. Albert Kalehezo carefully guards his dwindling supply of insulin, each vial a lifeline for diabetic patients caught in the crossfire of an escalating conflict that has severely disrupted the healthcare in the region. Kalehezo said the insulin shortage is a direct consequence of the renewed violence in Eastern Congo, where the M23 rebel group, allegedly backed by Rwanda, has intensified its operations since January.
Goma Airport, which allowed us to receive medicine from Kinshasa, is no longer operational. We have found other options, particularly from neighboring countries, where we managed to obtain medicine, although with difficulty. Additionally, with prices having increased, we are using existing stocks while waiting for the situation to stabilize. Since the current crisis, access to insulin has been difficult. Even before, the insulin access was expensive. For these children, I prescribe treatment, but they are not able to obtain it. She also has another particularity: her blood sugar tends to rise. That's why, when it rises, she needs insulin. Unfortunately for her, insulin is expensive and requires significant means. On our side, as doctors, we prescribe, we accompany her, but she is not able to obtain insulin. Insulin is a right for people with diabetes.
The group has seized control of key cities, including Goma and Bukavu, displacing thousands and disrupting vital supply chains. The closure of Goma Airport, a crucial hub for medicine shipments from the capital Kinshasa, has left healthcare providers scrambling for alternatives. Local pharmacies report severe shortages and skyrocketing prices. One pharmacist will request anonymity, fearing retaliation from the M23, described exorbitant prices across the drug market and widespread shortages, including for insulin. She said insulin prices have more than doubled from $4.50 to over $6.50 per vial when it's available at all.
We don't have access to quality medications, insulin is unavailable and its price remains exorbitant, as can be seen across the market. In all depots, there is always a price increase. Even if we go to a neighboring country to get supplies, they too are often out of stock. Perhaps someone who arrived earlier takes all the available quantity, even from neighboring countries, and those who come after can't find any. This means we are out of many medications, including insulin. At the beginning, when everything was still better, insulin cost $4.50. We were sourcing at that price. After some time, there was an exaggerated increase. We started sourcing at $6, even $6.50. Then there were also shortages, we had nowhere to source from, and even at that price, we couldn't find the product anymore. There was the arrival of another insulin brand, which wasn't the original one we usually bought. They brought us this other brand.
The insulin crisis is just one facet of a broader humanitarian emergency unfolding in Eastern Congo. In July, the United Nations reported at least 319 civilian deaths in Rutshuru, at the hands of M23 fighters. A group of Palestinian children and families from Gaza departed from Israel's Eilat Ramon airport to Italy for medical treatment on Wednesday. 3 C-130J aircrafts of Italian Air Force transported 31 children accompanied by their families from Israel to Milan's Linate, Rome's Ciampino, and Pisa airports, where they will receive health care and specialized treatment at various medical facilities. Including Wednesday's flight, Italy has so far received 580 people on medical evacuations from Gaza, including 181 patients and 399 accompanying persons. At least 26 people died in a migrant shipwreck off the southern Italian island of Lampedusa on Wednesday, and 60 were brought ashore. The Coast Guard said, adding that the death toll was still provisional and ongoing search operations. The disaster in this case, involving people traveling from Libya, is the latest to befall migrants making a perilous Mediterranean crossing from Africa to Europe. An Italian law enforcement aircraft spotted a capsized boat with bodies in the water about 14 miles off Lampedusa on Wednesday morning, triggering a rescue operation, Coast Guard said in a statement. The Coast Guard said 5 ships, 2 aircraft and 1 helicopter were operating at the rescue site. Initial tallies from the UN Refugee Agency, UNHCR, indicated that a group of migrants comprised some 92 to 97 people. Spanish firefighters were battling wildfires in the Leon region on Wednesday night as Spain sought help from its European partners to tackle wildfires raging across the country. Interior Minister Fernando Grande Marlaska requested 2 Canada airplanes. In Spain, a volunteer firefighter died from severe burns, and several people were hospitalized as state weather agency IMET warned that almost all of the country was at extreme or very high risk of fire. Spain was in its 10th day of heat wave that peaked on Tuesday, with temperatures as high as 45 degrees Celsius, and with IMET expected to last until Monday, making it one of the longest on record. Tropical storm Podu brushed past Hong Kong on Thursday, dumping heavy rain on the city and disrupting court operations. The hearing of Hong Kong media tycoon and pro-democracy advocate Jimmy Lai was cancelled after authorities issued the highest-level black ransom warning as supporters queued under umbrellas outside the court. Schools were suspended and some hospital services were also disrupted in Hong Kong. Meanwhile, airports across the region reported cancellation rates of around 20%, according to data from Flightmaster, as Podu pelted parts of the Chinese provinces of Guangdong, Hunan, and Zhejiang, with more than 70 mm of rain per hour. Podu made landfall on the coast of China's southeastern province of Fujian at 0030 local time, having weakened from a typhoon to a tropical storm of the lash in Taiwan on Wednesday. The winds of up to 191 kilometers per hour left 1 person missing and scores injured. Regional Governor Vyacheslav Gladkov said in its official Telegram channel on Thursday that a Ukrainian drone attacked hit a car, injuring 3 people in Russia's city of Belgorod. CCTV captured the moment of the blast, showing debris scattered across the road and a vehicle on fire. As a result of the strike, recent attacks on Belgorod, Charkov ordered to cancel all public events in town until the end of the week. All parks and shopping malls will be closed. Companies asked to allow staff to work from homes. Russia said on Wednesday that its forces had seized 2 more settlements in the next region, while Ukraine on the same day reported striking a Russian oil station. According to a statement released by the Russian Ministry of Defense, Russian forces continued their offensive on multiple fronts, gaining control of 2 more settlements in the Donetsk region and striking Ukrainian electronic warfare stations, air defense radars, ammunition depots, among other targets. Statement also said that the Russian air defense forces intercepted and destroyed 4 HIMARS rockets, 9 area bombs, and 240 drones launched by Ukrainian forces. Also on Wednesday, the General Staff of Ukrainian Armed Forces reported that Ukraine's main Directorate of Intelligence, in coordination with multiple military units, carried out strikes against several key Russian targets. Among the targets, the Unech oil pumping station in western Russia's Bryansk region, a key oil pumping station for supplying fuel for Russian troops, was precisely struck, but its exact damage yet to be assessed, the Ukrainian side said. Unech oil pumping station, part of a Druzhba oil pipeline network, has an annual capacity of up to 60 million tons of oil. It is a key facility of the Druzhba pipeline network, through which Russia sends its crude to Hungary and Slovakia. Response Hungarian Foreign Minister Peter Szijjártó condemned the strike on the pipeline, emphasizing that it supplies crude oil to Hungary and is crucial for the country's energy security. Stressing that Hungary is Ukraine's largest electricity supplier, Szijjártó said that without Hungarian support, Ukraine's energy security will become highly unstable. He strongly urged Ukraine not to jeopardize Hungary's energy supply security and to stop attacking energy delivery routes to Hungary during the war, to which Hungarians have no relation. A delegation from Russia's Ministry of Culture, led by Vice Minister Andrei Mulyushev, arrived in Pyongyang on Thursday at the invitation of North Korea's Ministry of Culture to mark the 80th anniversary of Korea's liberation from Japan. In footage provided by the North's official news agency, KCNA, the Russian delegation was greeted at Pyongyang International Airport by DPRK Vice Minister of Culture Park Yong-chol and Russian Ambassador to North Korea Alexandra Mashagora. KCNA said the group includes Russian pop singer Shaman, who was seen in the video footage wearing a black cap and sunglasses, and dance ensemble of the Strategic Rocket Forces and the Airborne Forces sang and dance ensemble under the Ministry of Defense. Farmers and trade unions in India took to the streets on Wednesday in Rohtak, a town in northern India, to condemn U.S. tariffs and punitive taxes on oil trading with Russia. U.S. President Donald Trump announced an additional 25% trade tariff on India on August 6, citing its continued oil purchases from Russia, taking the total levy to 50%. The additional tariffs will be applicable from August 27. Hundreds of protesters demanded India to reject tariff threats and assert its rights to trade freely with all countries. The farmers and farm workers sent a clear message to the government. India must push back against U.S. pressure.
If there are trade agreements with America, 80 million dairy workers will lose their livelihoods. If they make this agreement in the agriculture sector, Indian farmers will be uprooted. It is a fight for our livelihoods. It's a fight to save our crops.
2% who are farmers in US, and here it is more than 50% who are depending upon that. So because of that, we can't afford to hand over and open up our agriculture sector for multinational companies or for US or UK for that matter, or another country on unequal terms.
The women who are taking care of their families based on the dairy.
That's the news this hour. I am Barikumo Ado. Thank you very much for watching.
local.
The international community is observing.
Just finished the game.
Where the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome to Gender Perspectives. This is the program where we explore the real-life impacts of identity, equity, and justice. And in today's episode, we turn our focus to the law specifically, how legal systems respond to discrimination and violence based on identity. Across the world, countless individuals face abuse, exclusion, and harm simply because of who they are, whether they are men or women. But are our laws doing enough to protect them? My name is Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Stay with us as we break it down right after this break.
We are local.
We are right now with the wife of the man that was
Why the meat market is in chaos. People
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye.
Aye. We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back. You're still watching Gender Perspectives. We bring clarity to the complex issues shaping lives and laws around the world. Now, gender and law refers to the way legal systems recognize, regulate, and often reinforce gender roles and identities. And historically, laws have reflected and perpetuated gender inequalities, mostly by favoring men in areas such as property rights, employment, and family law, while marginalizing women and gender diverse individuals. Now, in modern times, gender and law also explores how legislation can be used to promote equality, such as through anti-discrimination laws, reproductive rights, and legal recognition of gender identity. Now, in our background report today, we will take a closer look at how legal systems are responding to discrimination and violence. And around the globe, individuals continue to face targeted abuse and systemic inequality. And while many countries have introduced laws to protect against such harm, enforcement is often inconsistent and legal protections don't always extend to everyone. So let's take a look at that background report.
Legal responses refer to the actions taken by governments, courts, law enforcement agencies, and legal systems to prevent, address, and remedy unfair treatment or violence against individuals because of their gender identity, that is, how a person internally identifies as male, female, both, or neither, which may differ from the sex assigned at birth. These legal responses usually include anti-discrimination laws that make it illegal to discriminate against someone because of their gender identity in key areas of life such as employment, education, housing, access to healthcare and public services. Such laws ensure that everyone is treated equally and fairly, regardless of how they identify or express their gender. Hate crime legislation. Some countries have laws that recognize violence or harassment based on gender identity as a special category of crime called a hate crime. These laws often impose stricter penalties for crimes motivated by bias, help collect data on the extent of such violence, and signal that targeted violence will not be tolerated. Legal gender recognition. This refers to allowing individuals to change their gender on official documents, such as birth certificates, national identity cards, and passports. Legal recognition affirms a person's identity and helps them access services, employment, and travel without facing constant humiliation or legal obstacles. Protection from police abuse and arbitrary arrest. Legal responses also involve training law enforcement to respect the rights of individuals with diverse gender identities. This includes prohibiting unlawful arrest or profiling, investigating abuse or harassment by police, and ensuring equal protection under the law. Access to justice. This means ensuring that victims of discrimination or violence based on gender identity can report crimes safely, get legal representation, receive fair treatment in court. It also involves building a justice system that is sensitive and responsive to the needs of all individuals. Legal reforms and judicial interpretation. In some countries, courts have interpreted existing laws, such as constitutional protections against discrimination, to include gender identity. Legal responses may also include reforming outdated laws, challenging unjust practices in court, and expanding legal definitions to be more inclusive. Public legal education. Legal responses include efforts to educate the public about rights and protections under the law. This helps reduce stigma, empower individuals to seek justice, and promote a culture of respect and equality. Discrimination and violence based on gender identity is an issue that is increasingly drawing global attention, but remains highly sensitive and controversial in Nigeria. Individuals whose gender identity does not align with traditional expectations often face severe stigma, social exclusion, harassment, and in many cases, physical violence. The question for legal and policy actors in Nigeria is whether the existing legal framework adequately protects such individuals, and if not, what should be done. Nigeria's legal system currently offers no direct protection against discrimination based on gender identity. In fact, the Same-Sex Marriage Prohibition Act of 2014, while primarily targeting same-sex unions, has had a broader impact, leading to increased policing of gender expression and identity. Although the law does not explicitly address gender identity, it has been widely used to justify arrest, harassment, and abuse of individuals perceived as not conforming to traditional gender roles. Furthermore, there are no provisions in Nigeria's constitution or anti-discrimination laws that specifically protect individuals on the basis of gender identity. The constitution prohibits discrimination on grounds such as sex, religion, or ethnicity, but the term sex has not been interpreted by Nigerian courts to include gender identity. This legal gap leaves many individuals vulnerable, without a clear path to seek justice when they face mistreatment or violence. In terms of violence, reports from human rights organizations have documented cases of physical assaults, arbitrary arrest, denial of health care, and even mob attacks on individuals perceived as different in terms of gender presentation. Unfortunately, such cases often go unreported due to fear of further victimization by law enforcement or community members. Where victims do report, justice is rarely served due to bias and lack of awareness within the criminal justice system. Despite these challenges, Nigeria is not isolated from global human rights standards. International instruments such as the African Charter on Human and People's Rights, which Nigeria has ratified, affirm the rights to dignity, security, and non-discrimination for all individuals. The African Commission has also issued resolutions condemning violence and other human rights violations on the basis of real or perceived gender identity. These provide a foundation for potential legal reform and advocacy. Across the continent and beyond, some countries have begun to revise their laws to be more inclusive. For instance, courts in Botswana and Kenya have issued rulings affirming the rights of individuals to legal gender recognition and freedom from discrimination. These examples offer potential models for how Nigerian legal institutions could respond to similar challenges in a rights-respecting and culturally contextualized manner. Moving forward, legal reform in Nigeria must be grounded in the principles of human dignity, access to justice, and protection for all citizens. This includes opening national conversations about the role of law in protecting people from violence, regardless of public opinion on issues of gender or morality. Legal protections do not require social acceptance, but they do require a commitment to justice and the rule of law. In conclusion, while Nigeria currently lacks legal protections for individuals based on gender identity, there is both a legal and moral case for reform. Strengthening human rights protections, promoting legal awareness, and ensuring justice for all citizens, regardless of how they identify, are essential steps toward a more just and inclusive society.
That report highlights the legal frameworks in place and the gaps that still leave many vulnerable. But behind every law are real people, such as advocates, legal experts, and those directly affected by gender-based discrimination and violence. Now, to dive deeper, we're joined by Dr. Edwin Arum and Dr. Oluchukwu Obioma. They are both lecturers and lawyers from the Faculty of Law, University of Nigeria, ENUGU campus, and we'll be discussing the realities on the ground, the challenges of enforcing protective laws, and what meaningful legal progress looks like, not just on paper, but in people's lives. Thank you so much for joining me on this program. It's my pleasure.
Thank you very much.
You guys look very, very loyally.
That's what it's supposed to be. Yeah.
Okay. So our conversation today, of course, we are looking at, the law and, when it comes to like gender issues. So from your professional perspective, how do our legal systems currently address discrimination and violence based on gender?
Okay, first of all, whenever we are talking about legal system in Nigeria, the first instrument we look at is the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, which is the ground norm and the foundation upon which every law in Nigeria stands. Section 42 of the 1999 Constitution is a very powerful law that spoke about everything discrimination. And we must understand that discrimination works in two ways. Either withdrawal of favor from someone or giving favor to another person. So because people think that whenever we are talking about discrimination, we are talking about when you deprive somebody of something. Even when you give somebody an additional favor other than what you've given to others, it is still discrimination. So I would say that the Constitution, Section 42, there are several subsections in Section 42, but particularly Section 42, subsections 1 and 2 are very veritable when it comes to laws against discrimination. Then we also have the United Nations Declaration on Human Rights, particularly sections 1, articles 1 and 15. Now that declaration made it very express that every human being is born equal and with dignity. So, but as we dive deep, we will touch several other aspects of those laws. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because there are a lot of laws. I know we're talking about discrimination. It's not just maybe gender, but identity. Now, identity can be religious, it could be sexual, it could be disability. Then, of course, gender and race and the rest of them. And like he's mentioned, there are other laws. We have the Same-Sex Prohibition Act of 2014 that in Nigeria it cuts down, it prohibits same-sex relationships and marriages and the rest of them. Then we also have our Disability Act 2018 that provides access and and protects these people that have disability from discrimination. So every building, for example, in Nigeria is supposed to have access for people with disability and equipment that will benefit them. Other laws, we have the Violence Against Persons Act, because sometimes this violence comes with gender. And this act is a federal law, but of course some states have demonstrated, like ENUGU state has demonstrated that law. So it has provisions in that law that's supposed to protect different genders, races, other identities from these forms of violence. Okay. So we have a lot of laws in Nigeria.
Okay, so now the laws that we are focusing on now are gender-based laws.
Okay.
Basically. So, and you said there are a lot of laws around this. So can you walk us through the various laws like you've talked about? What are those laws when it comes to discrimination against, or gender-based discrimination, gender-based violence, and other gender-related laws? Can you just walk us through and give us an insight on those laws for people that don't know?
All right. There's something you must understand in Nigeria. The laws are not just made for a gender, but laws make provisions for protection of people. Like the section I quoted earlier that says nobody should be deprived anything based on the person's sex. And when the law spoke about sex in section 42 subsection 1, it's talking about sex as in gender, male or female. Then in Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, like she mentioned, still captured men and women. So if you're looking for laws that will say, okay, this one is for women, you will not see it. It's just general laws, but each of them have provisions that go to men and women. But when you are talking about decided cases, that's when you can now come to be more specific. Now, I'll give you just 3 cases. The first one is the case of Mojeku and Mojeku. Now, in the case of Mojeku and Mojeku, the court reiterated the rights of female children to the inheritance of their father's property. Of course, this is an Igbo setting where people believe that the bloodline runs with the male gender, and based on that, women will not benefit. But Mojeku said no. Then you now come to the case of Okeje and Okeje, still insisted that you should not remove female children from benefiting. Then there is another case I'm trying to remember, but it's the case of, I think, Omolewe and the Nigerian police force, where a pregnant woman asserted her rights that you cannot deprive a pregnant woman of certain rights only because she's pregnant. So these are specific cases, and most prominently is the case between the Association of Muslim Students versus the Lagos State government. where some Muslim students were, restricted from joining others in the class, mainly because of the fact that they insisted on wearing their hijab. And the Supreme Court stated it that denying female Muslim students the opportunity of wearing their hijab to class is not just a discrimination based on religion, but it's also a discrimination based on gender.
Okay, and to even add that point, we, apart from the laws they pass in Nigeria, there are also international laws and treaties that Nigeria is signatory to. So, for example, we have one, CEDAW. Since you're looking for the one that maybe women, that one relates to women, and Nigeria has domesticated it. It provides extensive provisions for protection of women against violence and against discrimination. So we have a lot of laws in Nigeria. The issues we have in Nigeria is the enforcement of those laws.
Exactly. Now I'm coming to that, because I want you to speak on the strengths and weaknesses of these laws, particularly these anti-discrimination, laws. Since you said it's not particular to any gender.
But for example, let me talk about the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act 2015, which I said is a federal law. Now, part of the problems we have in Nigeria with that law is that not every state, because although it's a federal law, each state will be domesticated for you to work in that state. We say a lot of the northern states have not domesticated it. ENUGU has domesticated, for example. So you see that those states that have not domesticated it, those provisions, which are very beautiful provisions, can't work in those states. Also, another problem we have is the enforcement, the willpower to even enforce those laws, because Nigeria as a country has a lot of laws. But most times you see that the security officials do not have the willpower. Sometimes, even in the issue of marriage and battery and violence against women in marriages, you will see that you come to the police to report and tell you it's family matter, go and settle it. So all these things are problems that we are having with these laws, and they make the laws they make it not work, because the enforcement of the law is the meat of the law. If it's not enforced, then the law is useless. It's just as beautiful as the paper it is on. So that's one of the problems we have.
All right. Thank you very much. In addition to that, most of the people to enforce the laws don't even know the laws.
Yes.
So how do you enforce what you don't know? Programs like these are programs where enforcement agents should even get to know about some of these laws. I had an interaction with someone, I won't mention the agency, but one of the law enforcement agents, and it was very obvious that he knows practically nothing about the law. So I think that there is a need for education, and in a situation whereby some people do not even know the laws, the rights of citizens, there is no way they can protect it. That's one. Number two, people bring about their individual biases into enforcement of the laws. I'll give you two examples. Now, the reason I'm giving these two examples is that they're already in the public domain. Sometime in Nigeria, a woman was elected as the Speaker of the House of Representatives. Now, if there are people that should stand up for gender equality, they should be the lawmakers. But the way that woman was treated as a member of the House of Representatives, the way she was forced to resign, the crisis that rocked the House during that administration, that she had no option than to throw in the towel. You now see that when from the top, people do not want to do the right thing, there is no way you expect the enforcement agents below to do otherwise. Now, secondly, still on that woman, because I followed very well during those times, prior to her becoming the Speaker of the House of Reps, she brought a bill to the House of Reps, that was 2006, clamoring for men and women equality in marriage. That bill died on arrival. It didn't even go to the second reading. One of the members of the House of Reps from the North said something. He said, "Are you trying to tell me that you want myself and my wife to have equal rights in marriage?" He said, "It cannot happen." And immediately they said, those in favor that the bill should go to say aye. Nobody said aye. When they said nay, you had many baritone voice, nay, and they killed it like that. So once the people at the top bring in their individual gender emotional biases into it, it will not work. Then thirdly, let me just leave it at the third one. most times, some gender-based violence are perpetrated by the people of the same gender. For instance, these people called Umuada, the way they enforce some of these laws, the way they bring the widow and scrape her hair, the way they insist that you must prove that you are not the one that killed our son, you will now see that when people of the same gender perpetrate such violence against themselves, it now becomes difficult for even the police, law enforcement, to come in. They will tell you, if I should use vernacular, no, you people should go and settle it. So, once you get it wrong from the top, definitely you won't expect the people below to do otherwise. And then knowledge of those provisions, and like my colleague said, the willpower of the government to enforce it is very necessary.
And that situation is, even when the court goes ahead to make these decisions, they do not make it such a way that it will cover all women. For example, we celebrated Ukeji and Ukeji because it allowed women inheritance rights. But you see, they make it general. So although the pronouncement is that, but any woman that wants to inherit, you still have to go back to court to get your own decision. And so what we are fighting now is, can the court please give us general decision that any woman will not have to go to court again to enforce? Just go ahead and get the benefit. That's the one problem we're having. Let them make it, let the enforcement be general. Let everybody be able to go ahead and access these rights that we already have, you know. So I think those things will help that this gender-based violence can be curbed. I know it will never end, because under, like what he was saying, some people have this mentality that I passed through it. I had this situation, a personal friend, you know, who the husband was beating her. It's when, of course, she contacted human rights activists, went on the news and everything. So I now asked, did you speak to your mother-in-law, for example? This is this man's mother. She said the woman passed through it too. And she said, I will never leave my marriage no matter what. So I said, okay, what of your sisters-in-law? She said, everybody's being beaten.
Wow.
5 boys and all of them are beating their wives. So everybody's being beaten. So she's the one that said, I will not, my family, I didn't see my father beat my mother, so I will not stay. And what did she do? She walked away. You see? So there was nobody she could talk to, because all of them had taken it. I'm like, I passed through it, so manage the way in Didi. And, you know, go through it. So when she said, I can no longer take this beating, he was beating her even in pregnancy. She walked away with 4 children, 2 boys, 2 girls. So sometimes the laws and even the people enforcing, even the courts, if they're able to take care of some of these things, it will help. At least gender violence can be curbed, at least to a large extent.
So from what you've both said now, I'm starting to think that the law is a bit limited in our society, particularly when it has to do with cultural influences.
Yeah, the enforcement of the law is limited, not the law, because Nigeria is a country that has a lot of laws. In short, if you sit down and see the amount of laws we have in Nigeria, you have law for any kind of thing. But the problem is the enforcement of this law. First of all, even awareness. Some people do not even know we have these laws. And then the enforcement, people do not have the willpower. We have corruption. Then traditional. You know, some of these gender-based violence, if you do not go through this, they tell you, they will bring in a lot of traditional or cultural things.
Yes,
I'm like, oh
exactly.
No, these gods or what. So those things perpetuate this violence. They do. Traditional beliefs. Because there's a project I'm doing or something like this, and we're saying, how do we even meet our traditional rulers? And these people are this, because this problem, we have to take care of it from the roots. Can we even reorientate them that these things are supposed to be stopped? There's, you know, this culture can be changed. Even religious beliefs, they can be enhanced. If you can start from there, I think we'll go a long extent to try to curb this problem.
So, like you also said, even religion too is also is a very big factor.
Yes, it's a big factor. It's a big factor.
Wow. But do you think that our legal systems currently adequately protect individuals from violence or discrimination?
Yes, like she rightly said, if the laws we have on ground are properly implemented, everybody will be protected.
So how can these laws be implemented? Because we are saying if they can be implemented. Meanwhile, there are a lot of reasons why it's not being implemented. So at what point?
Well, that is why we are having programs like this for the public to know and to step up. Especially, one thing we must understand is that that's why we need good leaders.
Yes.
Leaders who want to get the right things done. Who would say that things will not remain the way they've always been. Now, there is a leader that will come in, the person will dust up some of these laws and will begin to implement them. Now, there is something we say in Igbo, that when the community is not good, the leaders are benefiting from it. If I should use vernacular, nobody Burundinze. Now, in a situation whereby Ndinze, the rulers, will keep their uru, their profits aside, obodogadimma. So when leaders stop benefiting from irregularities, the country becomes good. So that is why we need good leaders. And another thing I want, which I'm encouraging the public, let's get more women into power. When we get more women into power, it will be balanced. Although I still understand the fact that some of the times women in power do not support themselves. Yeah, I don't want to quote a very popular case that happened not too long ago. However, when we get more people into power, they will channel the attention of the government from the usual patriarchy to, what it ought to be, the balance. So the best thing, get the good leaders. When you get good leaders will insist that offenders must be punished. If you go against a lady, do you know how many ladies that report matters in the police stations and those matters die instantly? But there are leaders that will be in power and make sure that every matter reported is adequately handled. Every case that comes to court must be properly looked into. And when judgments are given, judgments will be enforced. If the court says, allow this woman to have this job, they will insist that the woman has the job. This is the function of the leaders, function of the government. But the problem with Nigerians is that we will cry. The politicians have killed us. We want to die. And after 4 years, you will come back again having an opportunity to remedy the wrong. They will still give you a bag of rice, give you t-shirts, and give you 2K. You still go and vote the wrong person, reinforcing the irregularity. And once you keep doing it that way, the country will never be good.
Another aspect of this is the judges. We need more activist judges. It really pains me when I hear a judge say, my hands are tied. Untie your hand. Untie it. Untie the hand.
It's very necessary.
Because, what he said that really resonated with me was that sometimes it's even women that perpetuate this against fellow women.
Exactly.
There was this report about a woman. She had a new baby and she had a house help, a girl. And this girl came to watch TV and she beat this girl and she died. This is a woman. This is a small girl. So sometimes it's women that perpetuate this violence against other women. If we have judges that are activists, that will insist that the right thing should be done. I won't mention names, but there was this government parastatal I once worked in. And if you bring any case of rape, it will disappear. Even the file you will not see. I just noticed that people generally did not believe that there was anything rape. In short, I went to the court with my principal, and one senior lawyer was saying, why are you people talking about rape? What do you want men to do? And I lost respect for this person.
Someone actually said that?
Yes, he said it to us. Why are you talking about rape? So what do you want men to do? And I'm like, I felt cold. I lost all respect. So some people do not even believe that these things are real. Some people, and another issue is that the people that you are going to enforce, for example, let me give you a scenario. Let's say you go to court and this judge has beaten his wife, and you come to court that your husband beat you. Will he give you judgment? So he will see you as that wicked woman, a type of his wife that he has beaten. So the case will go against you. You see, you go to the police that your husband is beating you. Maybe he has beat his own wife before coming that morning, and you will join into the problem. And this thing is both men and women. The whole problem continues. So I will add that we need more activist judges. Judges that will look at this situation and say, no, it cannot continue. I will give this judgment and insist that it is enforced. I think it will help our situation, because sometimes we learn by, if somebody is punished, other people will learn. Sometimes it helps to learn.
Speaking about that, you know, like you said, most cases being reported, nothing is done about it. And then, you know, when we hear in the news that, oh, somebody was in prison for wife battering, or maybe the wife died in the process of domestic violence, he has been taken to prison, and a sentence is going to be, and we wait years and we don't hear anything at all. So that means the judges too are part of, should I say they are what's the word, conspirator? what's the terminology for that? when you are part of doing a criminal act, you did not do it yourself, but you are an accomplice. Exactly. But and it's so rampant, and so people don't see any action taken upon perpetrators of the act. And
okay,
can you speak to that? Because I don't, it's a...
Okay, recently a judgment was given by the Supreme Court affirming the death penalty of one of the music...
After how many?
I think that was just 3 years. That was fast, considering how criminal offenses are handled in Nigeria. There are several cases that might be in court for 10 years.
Some 20.
Some 20.
Why so long? What is the reason for that?
Well, that's why we need reforms in the system. We need more courts, more specialized judges, and also to try to make things fast. Okay? So that sentence that was given, I don't think, no, not the Supreme Court, I think it's the High Court that gave that judgment. Yes, the death penalty is the High Court, not the Supreme Court. I'm sorry for that. So now, people will hear and learn. But let me tell you, the reason everybody heard that case is because the woman is popular.
Yes.
What of the unpopular ones?
Yes, yes.
So, but it's also good that these ones was blazed abroad for people to know that you don't do things and allow it to lie low like that. Now, some of the times, the judges might not necessarily be accomplice, but there are times we might have poor prosecution of the cases. Because there are some times that prosecutors, I believe, if the government can hear me, we should train our prosecutors. Let them not just do it like mere formalities. If I should use the Nigerian terminology, they will say anywhere belly face now front. No, train them. Number one, analyze the facts and present the facts in such a way that the judge will understand and tilt towards you. Because the judge is deemed to have his eyes covered. And criminal matters are proved beyond every reasonable doubt. And you must be a professional to get that done. Yeah. In a situation whereby the police officer or the prosecutor prosecuting a case does not even believe in the case that he's prosecuting, does not even believe that there is violence against women, might even be doing the same thing, he doesn't put in the effort to prosecute. And let me tell you one thing, if a judge goes ahead to give judgment when there is poor prosecution, the judge might have his name dragged to the NJC for descending into the arena. Because a judge is supposed to be neutral, which means, and if a judge is neutral, it simply means that if you fail to prove your case, you will lose the case, even if you're right. Yeah. And that's why they say that lawyers are liars. But we don't lie, it's just that there is poor prosecution. So people who prosecute these matters should try their best to do the best. And there is one thing we need to do. It's still part of social engineering. We need to rewire our minds to know that men and women are equal, the same, but differentiated in responsibilities. There are things that men should do. There are things that women should do. We have different responsibilities, but we are the same. Like as we are here now, some people are behind the camera. They are manning their post. There are some people doing the presentation. We all need each other. Nobody is better than the other. And in a situation whereby we know that though differentiated in responsibilities, but we are the same, Men will work towards the protection of women. Women will also work towards the protection of men. And then the society will be what it ought to be.
Because another aspect of this is that some women, because of this so much, discrimination and bias, they now go the other way and now begin to push for maybe feminism and, kind of pushing for men to be degraded. At a point, there was so much of the girl child, training of the girl child, that they started medicating the boy child to the background.
Exactly.
The people now started again, the boy child, the boy, I think that we don't have to put anybody down. I think it can be balanced. I think because some people now say, oh, the patriarchy is the problem. It's not the problem. Like you said, if they teach, it's clear to everybody that we are all the same. We are all equal. We just have our different roles and, differences, I think it will help in treating each person, instead of looking at that, maybe the strength of a man as something to use to relegate women. You see as something that's used to protect. But I like to be very careful so that we don't, see maybe the men as now the bad people that have to be brought down, because we will still have a problem with now trying to, okay, we elevate the men again. So reorientation will go a long way, and it's continuous because these things are long held, understandings. Sometimes there are traumas that pass from generation to generation. Exactly. So the grandmother has told the mother all men are bad. And then the mother tells the child, and there are events that have solidified these notions
and it's
into
an
the
endless
men.
cycle.
So it becomes a cycle of trauma, passing this trauma from generation to generation. But I think we can break it, a constant reorientation. Then those who are trained, could give positive examples. If people can see positive, because someone said that men learn from example, right? They don't learn from sitting down to hear. If we can have positive role models for men, that this is the proper way this thing should be done, this proper way should be done, I think it will go a long way to curbing all these vices.
That's a very good one, actually. I like that line of thought. Now, aside from domestic violence or whatever, when it comes to workplace, particularly professional workplaces, for instance, let me just bring it down. You both are lawyers, and it's a very professional, field. Have any of you experienced any form of discrimination or bias in the line of your work, either dealing with clients or, your fellow colleagues?
Personally, as a lady, I've not. Because one thing I'll tell some ladies is that sometimes you want something handed to us because we are women. But it doesn't work like that. If you want, some people say, or pay. I've not had a problem like that. Some women go about saying you want equal pay with men and all that. If you want equal pay, do equal work. Just like that. Nobody's going to hand you anything on a platter of gold. Anything you want, you work for it. If you want to work as many hours as the men do and do as much as they do, of course you get equal pay. So I've not had that issue. If you come in, even if some people, maybe they may be taken aback, it leads to some situations. But now you come in, put your A game, you are intelligent, what you are saying is making sense, they will look for you again. Because at the end, they're looking for the gender is, are you getting the work done?
So you've not had anybody tell you they can't work with you because of...
No.
Oh,
okay. Let me draw an example from the both of us.
Okay.
Coincidentally, we've been moving together. We started working for University of Nigeria at the same time. Started working on our PhD, that's our doctoral programs, the same time. We got the same time, the same grade, everything. We've been moving together. The same. I don't think there's any special privilege that has been given to her or given to me either. Yeah. So we've been moving together. However, the discrimination is still there, not in our setting, but generally. There are some clients that when you come to, and they will, oh, is he a female lawyer you brought? I don't want her. Cholo lawyer moke karaka, as in give me a strong male lawyer. So they believe that it's those male ones that can shout in court, they'll say, no, I don't want the women. So you see that even the clients themselves, including women,
wow,
most of them don't hire female lawyers. For instance, I go to court almost every time. some of the matters relating to even domestic violence, it's the male lawyers that handle them. So there are times that people look at the female lawyers and say, I don't want to work with this one, that's one. Then another problem that some people go through in the workplace. Now I'm going to sound a bit different now. Is sexual harassment.
Okay.
Men and women are harassed in the workplaces. But the truth of the matter is that society pays attention more when a woman says, I'm sexually harassed. I was going through the Violence Against Persons Prohibition Act earlier today. So I was now made to understand that sexual harassment is not just when a person does anything physical. Even side comments on somebody's sexuality. And these are comments that people hear every day. I've had several cases where people meet me and said, my boss in the office is insisting that I must follow him to a birthday party. And I now ask the person, is following your boss to a birthday party in line with your work and the contract of employment? He said no. I said, but what time is this birthday party? The person is saying 9-10 p.m. Now, why will your boss insist that you follow him? And in the process of following, he will want to touch. He will want to crack some jokes. It's still in the office. Sexual harassment. There are still several times that a boss insists that the only people that will get benefits are the women. There is a person's example, I won't mention names. The person was sacked. I know the person, I know both the person, I know his boss. The person was sacked. And the reason the boss sacked him, and this is one of the smartest lawyers that office had, and said, it's because we can't pay you. It wasn't up to 1 week they sacked that boy. They employed one very beautiful, fair lady. Now, you said you cannot pay this person. That's why you laid him off. If you cannot you downsize and work with the downsized staff. But you downsize to bring somebody on board. So the reason I'm saying it is that when somebody is working, and like I told you earlier on, discrimination can be giving special benefits or pulling away benefits. And a person is withdrawn from work to give it to another person. That's discrimination. When you make side comments, that's discrimination. When you hide some information from some people, because there are some bosses that be like, it's just men in my circle in the office. You now say, please, this is going on. Those people will hear the information and they will progress. That's discrimination in the workplace.
It may be unpopular, but I have another perspective to this.
Okay.
Sometimes gender favors women. There are some cases that once it comes up, as a lawyer, like I said, I was a government parastatal. I stayed in for like some months. It is a case of rape, abuse, maybe children, women. They will take that file and give it to a woman. Because they know that if they leave that file in the office, it will get lost. They will give it to you. So you'll be going to court with it, doing the matters yourself. So sometimes it will favor the woman more, you know. And then sometimes if you're in the office and a woman is looking for something, a man is looking for something. I don't know, I don't know the special privileges, but sometimes the woman will get it faster than the man. They just tell you locally, she will get it. So it's not every time that the gender favors women. Sometimes that gender favors the women. You know the reality of things. Like somebody said that men have to fight for everything they get. Sometimes women don't. If you look beautiful, maybe you have some charm, you will get. He gave us an example of, his staff coming to his house, their car broke down, and the men, so the lady sits inside the car, and 3 men were out on the road trying to flag down, but nobody stopped. Like these 3 armed robbers, nobody will stop for you.
Yeah.
So they all borrowed themselves sense and entered the car and told the lady to. 3 cars stopped. She now said, I have my colleagues, and they joined. You see?
Yes.
So sometimes gender favors women. So of course,
Okay.
sometimes it can be discriminatory, but sometimes it can favor women.
All right, so on a final note, what do you have, or what are your 2 cents, your opinions on how things can get better when it comes to like the legal system, and how particularly implementation of these laws? Because apparently we have the laws, it's just the implementation. So finally, what do you have to say, in response to that?
Okay. Like I said earlier on, we need to rewire our minds. We need to understand that what we have believed, or rather that the fact that we have believed something for several years does not mean that that thing ought to be right or is right. So there is a need for the society to be re-engineered, rewired, to know that we need to eschew every form of violence, discrimination, both on men and women. And number 2, try as much as possible to put credible leaders who would insist that the right thing should be done. If we do it this way, I believe that we'll get the laws working for us again.
Okay, my own perspective, in addition to what he has said, I would appeal to the judges to be more activists. Don't, your hands are not tied. Go ahead and take these decisions that we favor. Go ahead, and if you start it, because in law we have legal precedents, and this, somebody relies on this case, another person relies on this case, very soon will change the trajectory. It becomes the new norm. Yes, it will help a lot.
Thank you so much, Edwin and Oluchukwu. I mean, I had a very fun time with you guys. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having us.
Okay, so we'll go on a very short break, and when we come back, the program continues. Stay with us. Welcome back. This is still Gender Perspectives on Signature TV. Now, when it comes to laws that protect people from discrimination and violence based on gender or identity, there's a lot of confusion, what's actually true and what's just a common misconception. So in this next segment, we are going to break down some of the most widely held beliefs about how the legal system works or doesn't work for men and women. Are anti-discrimination laws enough on their own? Is violence based on identity always recognized as a hate crime? And does the legal recognition guarantee real protection? Well, let's separate the truth from the myths and get to the facts. As we've seen today, the legal responses to discrimination and violence based on gender are complex and far from perfect. And while there are strides being made, much remains to be done to ensure that the law protects all individuals regardless of their gender. But the fight for equality doesn't end with legal reforms. It's up to all of us, advocates, lawmakers, and communities, to keep pushing for change and hold our legal systems accountable. Thank you so much for joining us on this important journey. Remember, justice is not just a legal concept, it's a lived reality. Stay tuned to Gender Perspectives for more in-depth discussions on the issues that matter. Make sure to follow us on all our social media platforms at Signature TV and stay tuned to our SLTV channel 265. My name is Uchenna Chimdi Oluoha. Enjoy the rest of your day.
We are local.
The international community is observing every
Just finished taking why the main market is in chaos. People
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Save Nature TV, news in your pocket.
Hello, my name is ENUGU. It's a pleasure to be here today. So, Nollywood has not really portrayed our culture in the way it should, though it has done a good job. The old Nollywood has done a good job showing us through the Things Fall Apart and some of the August meeting we grew up watching in films. But then there is this new Nollywood has really not done a good job. The new Nollywood is going through more of, like, call it recycling, rinse and repeat culture. A culture that, oh, this is a story that is marketed, but everybody jumps on it. Oh, it's romance story. Oh, it's high school movies. Oh, it's this. Oh, it's that. Everybody is jumping on those kind of trends to do that because it is marketable and it's understandable. Every investor, every person making a business, the aim is to make profits. But beyond that, the Nollywood space is a creative space where, as much as you are making profit, you're trying to pass an information, you're trying to change the narrative, you're trying to influence culture in one way or the other. And on that note, I'm trying to say that Nollywood has done a good job. I'm not taking that out. Nollywood has done a good job, but not enough for the Igbo cultures. And I think the Igbo filmmakers have to be blamed for this because we don't really tell our stories. There was a film that premiered last year, a supposedly Igbo film, a supposedly Igbo film, and our people, and it was a story about the one boy system. This is an Igbo culture. It's not, I wouldn't call it a culture, but it's something that Ndi Igbo is known for. You are getting a doom mother, Agba boy after 7 years, settle. We were the ones that started this and it's something for us. And to date, I think we showed it in certain films to an extent. Oh, where the boy lives, go to the city, learn a trade, come back, becomes a big man. Yes, but then we've not gone deep into the story. We are just touching here and there and there and there without going deep into the stories. There is a core cultural belief, there is a core cultural concept for everything we want to make in film. I think the Hollywood has done a really good job selling their culture, their whatever to us, and we're always buying. Their sci-fi, we'll buy. Their horror films, we'll buy. Whatever they're giving, we'll buy. The Koreans has also done a good job because all their films, they speak Korea. I don't understand Korean language. I'll put a film and I see Korean and I will go and download a subtitle to watch the film because I'm not concerned about the language, I'm concerned about the storytelling. Film is storytelling, and as my boss will always say, he says story is king. If we can tell, we have fascinating stories. One of the biggest books in the Igbo land is Chinua Achebe's Things Fall Apart, translated in over 60 languages. And this is a story, an Igbo story, cultural story, traditional story, not from our perspective as Igbo people. There is no, yet this is our story. How, and yes, I know the film did well, the film that had Pet Edochie and the rest of them, the Asian film that was done many years ago. A lot of us have not seen it. But yet, we need to go back and look at, oh, how can we make better films that sell our culture, that makes our culture marketable, that shows people that, oh, this is what we are known for. Oh, this is what we are known for. The fact that filmmakers are just trying to do rings and repeat, the rings and repeat culture about, oh, this is the film. Yeah, yeah, naga kita. Let's work on this one. On cab, yeah, naga. Oh, high school films, yeah, naga. Oh, all romance, so logo para, something like that. It's as much as I understand the fact that filmmakers need to be making money, needs to make commercial films, we should not change whatever we are doing. We should not change whatever we are doing. We need to make impacts through the work we do, because beyond whatever, these creatives, these arts live forever. Art would always live forever. It always lives forever. So at the end of the day, whatever you create as an artist, whatever you create as a filmmaker, whatever we consume is going to be there forever. It's going to change a narrative. The way Afrobeat has gone over and beyond right now, changing the world in certain places, like it's going over and beyond. It's not like it's changing anything, but then it has showed us that, oh yes, Nigerians can make good music, cultural sound, traditional sound from Africa. And please note, Afrobeat is not yet traditional sound. Afrobeat is a kind of beat that gives us the traditional concept to certain kind of music. We have our Ogene and the Udu and other Oja and the rest of them that we have as cultural elements. We've not yet marketed those ones still, but still and still, it's a growth pattern. It's a growth process for everybody in this creative space. We are not saying that, oh, it must happen today or, oh, it must happen tomorrow, but we have to be intentional. Myself as a filmmaker, I think most of the films I've done, I'm intentional about giving them Igbo names. My first short film, it was called Chugo. It's like my films are character driven. I have to make sure that they have an Igbo name, because I believe that I want to tell people, yes, it's Igbo. It doesn't matter what, we have to come into that particular concept of my Igbo film. And then my next feature film that is showing on Prime Video and Apple TV, it's called Dinobi. These are films we do. We want to show people that, yet it's beyond. I know this is not. It's an English film, but then when I mean it's an English film, it's the language spoken is English, because that was my first feature film. It was my foray to the industry. But then the title, the name of the film is it's an Igbo name, because I want to talk, yet I'm Igbo. I have a culture. I have a place. So when you see a film, you'll be like, what is this people trying to say? What does this word even mean? When you see a word out there, Chugo, you ask yourself, what is this people trying to say? What is the word doesn't even mean also? So I think we need to be intentional about that. We need to be intentional about selling our culture, selling whatever the Igbo man believes in our tradition. Our tradition is unique. Every culture around the world has a unique tradition, but the Igbo man's tradition is always definitely unique. That's why we have to be intentional about selling it globally. The Yoruba guys has done a very good job showing us a lot of their culture out there through the films they've portrayed. You can check the name of their films, Anikulapo, Jago Jago, the rest of them, and they're pushing it out there. But us as Igbo people want to do a film when the blind man falls in love. What? Who are we trying to sell? Who are we trying to market these things to? We need to call our films. Call it. We saw films back in the days of Sophia in London, Okwa Chinaka, all these films that made us, that sold the names of our characters, the names of our films globally and beyond. So, as much as I understand, there are a lot of restrictions. Funding is a part, because once you want to tell a cultural film, you need to research deeply. And to research deeply, you need funds, and it's not beans. So I understand there are a lot of, but then we need to put in the effort in whatever stories we are telling. The beauty of our Igbo culture lies in our diverse tradition, our diverse social structure, and our philosophy. And every culture has its own philosophy, but the Igbo philosophy, it's unique in its own way. And that being said, I feel that authenticity is a choice. Being authentic with the way we tell our stories, being authentic with the way we pass our cultural beliefs, being authentic with the way we decide to share our culture with the world, with the global community is a choice. Most creatives don't want to be authentic, because being authentic is expensive in terms of time, not just money, in terms of time, because you take a lot of time into consideration, into your research, into a lot of things you want to do. Because being authentic, that means you have to make research, consult people. And that takes me to the second question, hindrances to telling this cultural stories, some of the hindrances we've faced so far. And that's the commercial viability. That's one of the, due to the fact that we need to make commercial viable stories, due to the fact that we need to make money, we a lot of times don't tell deeply rooted cultural stories, don't deeply tell the story. We just pick this one, pick that one, pick these bits and this bit, because it's going to be expensive to create. It's going to be expensive to create. And as imagine creating the Biafran war story, this is a part of our history, not just the culture, this is a part of our history. And as the case may be, telling it from an Igbo cultural perspective, you can imagine the budget is going to be mind blowing. It's going to be out of this world. It's going to definitely be Hollywood standard. But these are things we take into consideration. And also, you know, any other person out there would think that, oh, there is just Igbo language. They won't understand that the Igbo language is very vast and diverse. If you go to Ebonyi State, there is a kind of Igbo language. If you go to Abia State, there is a kind of Igbo. If you go to Imo, there is a kind of Igbo. Due to phones, due to a lot of things that when put, it's what I call it stereotypes. Due to these stereotypes, we tend to see just one flattened Igbo for everybody, and we don't tell our story. But then there is this filmmaker, I've seen most of his film, he tells his stories in the Ohofia Igbo language, and it makes, once you hear this Igbo, you connect to it from your own Igbo culture, from your own Igbo belief, from your own traditional system, you connect to it. But then it boils down to the fact that it's not just about the language. The language does not sell the culture. In films, it's not just about the language. It's about the story. Why I say it's about the story is because Korean films, majority of Korean films, they speak Korean languages. A lot of one of the biggest film in the whole world right now is Parasite. One of the biggest film. It's ranked amongst the top 100 film in the world. It's a Korean film. It's called Parasite. It's not even a cultural story as the case may be, but it's a Korean film. And what did they try to do there? They spoke their languages. They answered their names. They always answer. It's unimaginable that I watch a film, and it also affects us as Igbo people. We all have English names. Nelson, this one, that one. Everybody's answering English name, and we are supposed to be Igbo people, and we are creating an Igbo craft. Our Yoruba brothers, you see how far they go with their names. It's hardly you see a Yoruba person that it's answering English names. It's not like they don't answer English names, but you hardly see them. So we need to start with our names first. My name is Izuka. I always tell everyone that yes, no, my name is Izuka. They ask what's the meaning of Izuka. I will tell them, oh, go and check. Because I'm proud of my name as an Igbo person. And yes, in my film, that's why I said it before. In my films that I create, I make sure they have Igbo titles. Dinobi, you can check Dinobi on Google. It has an Igbo title. Dinobi is screen on Prime Video and is on Apple TV. I'm proud of this work because I'm trying to sell the names of our Igbo culture, the names of what we believe in, the names of our Igbo things. I would like call it the T. Dinobi is a thing. Yes, definitely is a thing. So selling this name out there because nobody knows what it is except an Igbo person. Oh, this is Dinobi from my heart, dear to my heart, and then there is Chugu. So there are a lot of hindrances to telling this authentic story, but I think one of the major one is funding. One of the major one is funding. But aside funding, I think, as I said it before, being authentic is a choice. Being authentic is a choice. As much as there is a lot of commercial pressure and whatnot, we have to actively decide to be authentic. It's a conscious decision. The way you consciously decide that, oh, you won't litter the streets. The way you consciously decide, oh, I will do this. I will go to church on Sunday morning. I'll go to morning mass. I'm going to do that. The way you consciously decide all this, and the way you keep doing it, and it becomes a culture. That's why, as creative, you have to consciously decide that, yes, I'm going to be authentic with the stories. If you are not sure of it, if you are not sure of that part, don't tell it. Why are you selling the wrong narrative to people about a culture you don't know? There's no like, it doesn't make sense, but people still do it. People still force the narrative down, and these things are going to stay forever. These things are going to be there forever. And will you be proud of this? Like I always stop. I don't jump on projects because yes, it's this. I jump on projects that I'm going to be proud of. When the name of the project comes and my name is there, I'll be like, yes, I'm in this project. I'm the one that did this project, because I'm going to be proud. Any project I'm part of, I'm always proud of them. I carry them with my full chest because I can proudly defend them. We need to authentically decide to be authentic. I think that's my passing word. And another one, we have to consciously build community, because in every sphere, in every system, there is always a community that makes things work. We have to consciously build community, and this is one of the things we've been doing in the southeastern part of the country with EMOIF. It's a community where we are grooming young filmmakers to tell authentic stories, authentic Nollywood stories, cultural stories, dynamic and traditional stories. So this is one of the things we also have to take into key consideration. Thank you so much for having me. I remain Izu Okafo.
Save Nature TV, news in your pocket.
Compared to public institutions. However, conversations are emerging about the real quality of teaching and learning in these schools. Now, joining us this morning to talk on this is Professor Christian Anieke. He's the Vice Chancellor, Godfrey Okoye University, ENUGU. Welcome to the program. Good morning.
Thank you. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Professor. You're welcome.
How are you today?
I'm alive. I'm alive. Thank you. Yeah.
All right. Now we see that many parents spend quite a lot sending their children to private universities, hoping for quality education and the like. Now, from your experience, would you say that these private institutions are living up to that promise of quality, better environment and education?
Well, I have not done any research on private universities and their quality. I can only talk about my own university and a few others I know. So I can't speak for all private universities. All I do know is that it's private universities provide space for doing things differently. When we started Godfrey Okoye University, for example, asked ourselves, look, do you want to add to the number of universities we have in Nigeria, or do you want to do things differently? And it was very clear to us in our philosophy, mission, and vision that we actually want to do things differently. It's space for doing things differently. You are not encumbered by the bureaucracy of public institutions. You are not encumbered by lack of discipline. You can define what you want and you push it through. And that's precisely what we are doing in our private university space. And by the way, we are not really private. We are mission university. There's a distinction between the private and mission institutions. Our university belongs to the Catholic Diocese of ENUGU, and as a mission, there may be strictly private university. There are strictly private universities that belong to an individual. This is not the case with our own, but of course we put everything under the basket of private universities. Strictly speaking, we are not private. We are mission. Mission university with the values of the Catholic Church and all that. So doing things differently, that is actually the ambition. Do it this and that. If you ask again, I may want to go into details, but I will stop if you want me to stop now.
Okay, so as you're talking about GO, that is Godfrey Okoye University, yes, I would like you to tell us what made Godfrey Okoye University stand out.
Well, yeah, it is, like I said, proper definition of what you want. We have, as the motto of our university, unity of knowledge. I studied in Austria and in the UK, and it was very clear to me that you could be educated, but just educated in one thing. There is a German expression that is Factotum, And fuck throttle is somebody who knows just one thing and nothing else. Don't ask him or her any other thing. Just listen. That's it. You're an expert in one thing. So I said to myself as a student, it cannot be education that you just know one thing, and you're an expert in one thing, and you don't have social relationship, you don't have emotional connection with people and all that. You don't have spiritual depth and just know one thing. I said, good education must be holistic. It must be being an expert in one thing and knowing a bit of other things. And that's what informed the idea of unity of knowledge. Knowledge is connected in one way or the other. There is a connection between mathematics and poetry. There's a connection between poetry and the information technology. There's a connection between information technology and physics and all. Everything it's one thing that we're looking for, the truth.
Yes.
The truth is what connects all areas of knowledge. And that's what we're pushing in Godfrey University with our interdisciplinary approach to studies. And another thing again that I thought about, and with the team, at the beginning, is why is it that a young person goes to learn tailoring, for example, or trading, or whatever it is, and after 2 years or 3 years, he or she can actually begin the job and even provide employment.
Of course.
And somebody will spend 4 years at university, 5 years at university, and 6 years at university, and will not be able to find a job, will not be able to provide a job. So this cannot be education. Education that doesn't satisfy your need to survive is not good for you. So that's why we brought in entrepreneurship, not just as a directive, but as something that goes into whatever we're doing, into our curriculum, into our evaluation, into our assessment. Everything is connected with it. So what does this mean? It means that the emphasis is on employment, not on studies. In other words, what skills are you getting from what you're doing? The first one I asked you, if you tell me I want to study, what do you want to do with it? And if I have the feeling that you don't even know what you're going to do with it, I'll say, please, why don't you consider studying something else? Okay? So what is it? What are the skills? So you must give students skills. It's not about passing exams, it's about having skills.
Of course.
So that when they graduate, they will find jobs or they create jobs. Some want to work for others, some don't want to work for others. If they don't want to work for other people, then they have to be able to create their own job, as people do when they have learned mechanic, whatever repairs, and carpentry and tailoring. They are not looking for a job. They provide their own job and even employ people. That's what we must be doing in our universities. And this informed our first town and gown assembly, the first of its kind in Nigeria. We invited people from ENUGU and Nigeria, 8 different areas. Come and tell us how you are doing your work. Come and tell us the challenges, so that when we are teaching, we are conscious of your challenges, and we do our research in line with your challenges. We don't want to have projects that are lying in libraries. Nobody is reading them. Nobody wants them. Our students are asked to write them, and they put them in the library, and they are filled with dust, and they create problems, environmental challenges. We don't want that. We want to do something that is relevant to society.
Yes.
So that's it. So we had that, and it was quite informative. And we have been working along the lines of the challenges, the problems they raised, and that is it. This explains why most graduates of Godfrey University get jobs when they graduate, or they create jobs. Because I have said, you have not succeeded as a university until your students get jobs. It is not that passing and finishing and all that and joining the long queue of job seekers. No, it is the number of your students who get jobs. That's actually a success as a university.
Exactly.
That's it.
Now, you've spoken about, it's not just about learning, but what you use that knowledge, at the end of the day. Now, when we talk, let's talk about quality teaching. When we talk about that, we know that it's not just about lecturers having degrees, but also it includes their teaching methods as well. So how innovative and engaging would you say that, your lecturers in Godfrey Okoye are when it comes to their teaching methods and how they impact knowledge on the students?
Thank you. I think we are moving away gradually from lecturing. I don't like to use the word lecturer anymore, because that is deceptive. Teacher. You're a teacher, basically a teacher. So we must be teaching at university. And teaching involves a lot of methods. Lecturing method is just one. Okay? You have demonstration method, you have project method, you have playway method, and all that. These are all for teaching. We are emphasizing that, so that nobody comes to the classroom and stands writing nonsense, on the board. Okay? You teach the students, you engage them, they ask questions. So we'll move around to assess our lecturers. Okay? We'll move around. It's not just telling you, after every year we begin with workshops, reminding you of how to teach. We bring in experts in teaching, reminding you. Of course, some will hear and move away. But then we have a mechanism for monitoring. Our lectures are just open space. You can enter any lecture hall or any teaching classroom. You can enter and sit down. Sometimes I enter a classroom and sit down. Okay? And I listen to my teachers talk to the students. And if you are not doing well, I will invite you for a cup of tea. I know what I mean, okay? Well, that's it. So it is emphasis on teaching that is making all the difference. I can tell you that we have a good number of teachers in the university, those who teach, and the students will normally assess you at the end of the academic year. If the assessment is negative, then we thank you for the job you have done, but you may never continue in our university. Okay? And that's it. So it's not just our students. We allow the students to assess the methods we use in teaching them and all that. And that's we expect. So it's all about teaching now. Besides, we have a generation, Gen Z. Gen Z has entered the university. And Gen Z is a generation of virtual life, online life and all that. So we must engage them in what they know. So sometimes, don't tell them not to come to class with their phone, because they will come to class with their phone. So engage them in their phone. Sometimes say, click, look up this word. All of you, look up this word, my friend. And then before you know it, they give you the word and all that. So you use, so there are those who also want to know why they have to learn something. That's Gen Z. Why do I have to learn this? Remember, their whole life is about solution to things. They give them something and they find a solution. So engage them with that mentality, and that's it. So we try to continue to fine tune. Of course, for older lecturers, it's challenging, but it's challenging.
But just to ask another question on this, most of the lecturers in your university, and I would say in most of the other mission and private universities, also come from the same pool as public institutions. So would you say that, and the teaching and learning method in public institutions also may look a bit different. So would you say that this is also affecting the teaching style delivery in any way?
It is, but when you look at the team at Godfrey Okoye University, see that most of them are not from public space, public institutions. We are getting our own young lecturers. At the beginning, yes, because you didn't have your own lecturers. But now we have our own professors, groomed in Godfrey Okoye University, professors of Godfrey Okoye University. We have them. And these are those who are pushing it. You have the older ones, of course, there will be. But I also see the desire among the older ones who spent all their life in public institutions, the desire to change. I see that also. That I also participate in the workshops and learning. You are never too old to learn, I've said. If you think you can no longer learn, then die. You have done your job on earth, okay? Once you have the feeling you can no longer learn something, then it's time to die. It's time to be born and time to die. But I believe that nobody can say he or she is too old to learn. You can always. I have friends. Look at Obasanjo. He did his PhD after being president of Nigeria. And someone told me he saw him doing his assignment while flying to somewhere. If Obasanjo could do his PhD after his presidency, why not? I have some friends who are, after their retirement, 70 years, 80 years, they are learning something. Some even begin studies, law program, different programs, things they wanted to do in their younger days. So I do not think that somebody will not do well because he or she is coming from a public university. I don't think so. You can always learn something new. And that's why we provide workshops at the beginning of an academic year and in the course of the academic year.
Okay, thank you so much. But what do you think is the current state of private universities as an administrator that you are and the professor currently in Nigeria?
I think most of them are doing well. From what I hear, I've not been all of them. What we did when we started Godfrey Okoye University was to move around to see successful ones, okay, and those that are not doing so well, so that we should know what to do. So I can tell you from what I hear that many are doing well, or most of them are doing well. The only thing we have to, look into is the issue of fees, as you rightly pointed out. Are we creating elitist universities in our country? Is that what you intend to do? Sometimes they say we in Godfrey Okoye University don't charge as high as others. Of course, you know that. In some places, medicine, for example, about 12 million or more than that. But we are conscious of the fact that it's a mission university, and we don't want to come to a point where the university is just meant for the rich. So we try to hold the fees a bit down. Of course, we have to pay our lecturers. We can't make it so cheap that we can't even pay our lecturers. All the lecturers want to be paid well, and if you don't pay them well, they go somewhere else.
Of course.
So you find a balance between very high and very low, and try to place our fees there. And then provide scholarships for those who are very smart, but they have nobody to help them. These are things we do. Each year, over 50% are on scholarship in Gulf University. And we'll try to do that. We'll try to get a good number of friends to support students in their desire to acquire education in spite of the poverty of their parents. So these are things we do. So I would say that the universities are doing well. Mission universities appear to be doing well in ethical matters. Because what I say is, you must ensure that students have some discipline themselves. It is good to say, yeah, these students are coming from rich homes and all that, they should do whatever they like. The tendency is that they are paid their fees and they should do whatever they like. In our university, and I think in most mission universities, you have to do the right thing. Our university is standing on the values of Catholic Church. I have no apologies for this, okay? And you know, when you are coming to Gulf University, that you are coming to meet Catholic values. So if you think we're too holy for you, then there are other places where you can go, okay? But I believe that discipline helps you in success. If you are disciplined, you are likely going to do well. Watch our players, the under-17 and others. Because they are disciplined, they do well in competition. Look at our girls, for example, how well they do in international competition. It's all about discipline. But if they are flying from all over the world, like the big boys that we have, they will not do well. So there is a connection between discipline and success. Get students to sit down, get them to attend their lectures, get them to avoid taking drugs, get them to wear even uniform, faculty uniform, they will do well. But allow them to do whatever they like, to sleep in their rooms, to come with their gadgets, to do every imaginable thing, they won't stop them. Remember that young people, they don't have no experience. Sometimes parents don't know that their children have no experience. They say, why don't I allow my child to do? I mean, she's not going to be a nun. He's not going to be a reverend father. It's not about that. It's about the discipline the child needs to do well in this thing. And every child that does well will be grateful to the parents and grateful to the teachers.
Yes. And, there are a lot of cases of public universities and even private universities shutting down because of revenue, finance, and all that. What are the specific challenges that all these private universities face, and how do you think it should be addressed?
Yeah, funding is a major issue, it's a major challenge, and it is regrettable that government sees private or mission institutions as profit-making bodies. You cannot make profit in universities. You cannot, because it is continuous investment and improvement of the resources and the structure you have. Profit making is certainly not part of the project called university. TED fund, for example, is not available for private institutions. The lecturers or the teachers are not being paid by federal government or by state government and all that. So what is it? The tendency is to charge high fees. And some are in difficulty because when they charge high fees, students will not be there. So how do they hold on? How do they continue for the next 10, 20 years? So that's going to be quite a challenge. I hope that government will look into the issue of TED fund for private institutions, the issue of also sponsorship of students of private, the issue of payment of salary of private or mission institutions. Those we are training are for our market. We are training our young people for Nigeria. They will work in Nigeria and all that. They are not, well, of course, some of them would like to go outside Nigeria, but they are Nigerians anyway. So why are they being denied the benefits others are getting? Why are they doing that and all that? We should give space for our students, our young people, to choose where they want to go. If you like discipline, you know where to go, okay? If you like a particular program, you know where to go. If you want values, you know where to go. So limiting things, saying, these institutions excluded from sponsorship, from bursary, from payment of salary from TED fund, will not be the right thing to do. And at the end, after training them, you rush to take them into society and all that. That's not fair on the part of government. And I do hope that this mentality will change.
Exactly. Now, Prof, you've spoken a lot about discipline, and earlier on you said, discipline and success, go hand in hand. But at the same time, most people are also of the opinion that private and mission universities have this caging. They cage the students or the younger ones, and I mean most of them do get successful, but when it comes to their social skills, as opposed to those who went to federal or public universities, where the ability to interact, the ability to have that connection with people, they don't have it because they have been in this box space for about 4 or 5 years. So do what's your response to that?
So it depends on what you mean by social interaction. If a social interaction is irresponsibility, then I would say no. Ability to connect with others. Remember that these students live in rooms. We have said no to living alone in a room because we want to create social space.
Okay.
Know your roommate, interact with your roommate, live well with your roommate, and we even have prizes for best rooms in terms of behavior, in terms of harmony in the room. So social space is already in their room. Social space is already in the classroom and all that. It's not as if they don't interact with others.
All those gatherings,
all those gatherings, unity week, we have unity week and all that. We have parties here and there, but within a space of God for University. Then we have normal holidays. At Christmas, I have almost 3 weeks or 1 month. Then end of semester, I have 1 month. Long back, I have almost 3 months. You have time to interact and continue to develop your social intelligence. And I do not believe that students of God for University and the other private institutions lack social intelligence. I do not believe that.
I think she meant being withdrawn.
Yeah, that's
withdrawn.
Then that would forget that job. I tell my students, you are little girls in spite of your height. You are little girls. You have no experience. Okay? I have an experience of almost 59 years of experience on earth, and you just have experience of 18 years. We are not the same thing. So you need to guide. It's our responsibility to guide without actually exaggerating the guiding. They have to be young people. Young people must be young people and all that. But you have to guide them. If you don't do that, what you call social life will become criminal life.
Yes. Exactly. That is very true.
Yeah.
Okay, so Professor, how important is collaborating with, universities and industries in shaping the lives of the youth and, the students at large?
It is very important with other universities because they get exposure. Our students go to universities outside Nigeria, okay? They go to UK, US university. In the course of their studies, they go to Austria, they interact with other students. And that's, they come to understand that these students are not superior to them. It is good for them psychologically. They also have competitions. We have a very strong office for competitions. Where Godfrey University is showing its weight. In every competition in this country, it's either we take first or we don't go beyond the 3rd or 4th position. So it's an opportunity for them to interact and, and also they have this, associations of other universities. They meet with them and they do things. So we also have intensive collaboration with some universities like UNN and others and Babcock. We have that. Then with other universities outside the country. Then industries. I've talked about town and gown assembly. Okay. Since we had that assembly, we have always ensured that our students, get attached to the industries. If you are doing law, for example, you are attached to a law firm from after year 1. From year 2 of your law program, you go to a law firm during the holidays. So that by the time you graduate, you are already a lawyer. You can draft, you can do things, you know how it works. Okay? The same thing, accounting students are attached to different banks. Mass comm students are attached to we're working now that our mass comm students come to this place, as often as possible. Okay. These are things. So you are exposed to your professional life if you're in Godfrey University. So nothing professional will be foreign to you by the time you graduate. And I think that's one reason why our students and graduates are doing well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Now, talking about facilities, I mean, earlier on we spoke about funding and how the university comes up with the resources. But we also know that, schools, private universities, mission universities boast of impressive buildings and lovely environment. But when it comes to the laboratories, the libraries, research facilities, what is it looking like, in Godfrey?
If you want to know, you come to Godfrey University. The main campus of our university, go and look at the quality of laboratories, clean, excellent. You go and look at our dissection room for medical students, clean, marvelous. Go to our teaching hospital. So it's all hearsay. One thing is to have a room filled with equipment. Another thing is to use the equipment. Okay? Yes. That's another thing. I've been on accreditation where you have a room packed to computers. Nobody's using them. They have these facilities that are not using. Whatever we have, we use, and we keep everything clean. If you go to our teaching hospital now, by the way, we have maybe one of the few private universities with their own teaching hospital. not borrowing from others, not going to UNTH. We have our teaching hospital that is fully equipped. Last week, the first brain surgery happened and all that.
Interesting.
Yes, excellent. And the guy is doing well. So when you see that happen in a private setting, you know that they are actually getting it right.
Yes.
You know? So there may be one or two that will lack equipment and all that. It's understandable. It's all about funding. But certainly not go for co-university.
Okay, so let's actually talk about the admission process, the accreditation process. What is it like there?
Your admission is very competitive, especially in so-called professional programs like law, medicine, nursing, and all that, computer science. Okay, so if you're going to study such programs in our university, you have to be very fast. We have closed law for now, and very soon we'll close medicine and nursing, computer science also. So it's very competitive, you know, because we will know the quality of what you are giving. Other programs also are doing exceedingly well. And so anybody who wants to study in Gulf University must ensure that he or she gets admission before the middle of October, because by the end of October, you will not find space again in the university. So is that, and we don't try to overshoot the number that we can handle. You know, in some universities, you keep getting students, whether they are standing up during lectures or not. It's not their business. Their business is that you have admitted them. We don't do that. We make sure that we have space for the students who are taken into the university.
Now, looking at
and accreditation, all our programs are fully accredited. We always ensure that we don't start a program without the approval of NUC, National Universities Commission. Okay. That's our way of life. Okay. We can never start a program without approval. And when our programs are approved, we ensure that those programs have accreditation. All programs in the university are fully accredited. Because it will be irresponsible to keep taking students in a program that's not accredited. At the end of the day, they will not graduate. So that's it. Before we mounted medicine, we invited NUC. NUC gave approval. We invited the medical council. Medical council gave approval. That's why we're moving very fast. By 2027, we'll have our first set of medical doctors.
Wow, yes. That's quite wonderful. Yeah. Wonderful. Now, let's look at research when it comes to students. I mean, we know that mostly it's usually the professors, the lecturers that do research papers. But what about students? Are they also encouraged to, you know, publish research papers, or, you know, what's the research looking like for the students?
Yes, they are encouraged to work with their lecturers, of course. At this stage, you work with their lecturers. Okay. And if you are doing any postgraduate program at university, you must publish, okay, before you can graduate. You cannot graduate until a paper is accepted publication in one of the good journals. And that's it. So we encourage publication, but you do that with the lecturers.
So how are the students taking that? Are they, you know, are they doing it?
They are. They are. Many of them have a lot of publications, and that's how they can become young professors. Yes, it is very easy for you if you have been publishing to become this. In our university, it's not a number of years. If you have the required publications to be a professor, you become a professor. That's why we have young professors in our university.
Wonderful. Yes. But there's this thing about private universities. You know, most people say when you leave the shores of this country and maybe you don't have a certificate from one federal university and it's mostly private, that most times it's not recognized.
No, it is the opposite the case. No other university is recognized in Austria, in Germany, as God for University is. As a matter of fact, if you are coming with a certificate from somewhere else, they may need to, confirm. But if you are coming from God for University, they don't need any further confirmation. Okay. So it depends on the country. Okay, if it's UK, if it is US, if it's Canada, if it's top countries of the world, certainly not, because these are countries that have seen our products and they have tested our food, and they know we cook well.
Okay, so what is the relationship between the industry and the classroom? Are there innovations that they are bringing in, to help equip the students annually, part-time, quarter-time? How do they do it?
They are. I just finished a Zoom meeting, and I was supposed to be here at 10 o'clock, but I had to go for a Zoom meeting with somebody for based in Switzerland. Innocent Opanum is one of the best architects we have in the world. He is a part-time lecturer, but he's a studio in Abuja. And he takes about 5 to 6 students of the university, to the studio where the students work with students all over the world. So the industry comes to the university and takes students to the industry and all that, and students are enriched. He told me about an airport that's been designed by one of our graduates. He has given that project to design. So a lot of that. And then we had a meeting with Mbanefo. Mbanefo is a top aerospace engineer based in Switzerland, is organizing a competition now. But first of all, he wants to see that students do certain things, certain things that the world of industry requires. This world requires, and they can, then have a competition. And those who are successful in the competition will certainly have the opportunity to work in different big techs and big industries in the world. So we have that space of industry coming to tell us, okay, why don't you invest in this? Why don't you train your students along these lines, and we'll be able to take them. We have had hackathon competition. Hackathon competition came from Austria and Germany, where students were given specific assignments to do and all that. The first person won 6 million and all that. And these students are now part of the company, automatically part of the company. So have open doors for the companies coming to our university, telling us how the students can be trained to feed the industry, and then taking the students when they graduate.
Okay, that's very lovely. Now let's talk about the medical faculty.
College. College.
There is one like that.
Medical college, that's what it's called.
Okay, apart from that, there are speculations that there is a permanent site for the Godfrey Okoye University. Are they moving very soon, or are you comfortable with the fact that different departments are dispersed over the area? The length, or is the length correct? The distance between the departments and the distance at which the students live, they are quite far. Are you comfortable with that, or is there anything put into place for them to move faster to the permanent site?
I don't know what you mean by distance. We have 3 campuses actually.
Okay.
We have Thinkers Corner Campus 1, here where my office is. We have Thinkers Corner Campus 2, down where the law faculty is, and we have the main campus of Godfrey Okoye University at ENUGU. For now, the main campus houses College of Medicine and Nursing, okay? They study there and they live there. When those in medicine finish their 3-year program and have their second MBA examination, second MBA SS examination, they move to teaching hospital that's a training. Yeah, it is possible in the next 1 year that natural sciences will join, but we must ensure that we have accommodation for all the students, so there's no movement from here to there. Some faculties will continue to be here because we have invested a lot in Thinkers Corner over the years. There are faculties that must be here, PG programs that must be here, but 1 or 2 faculties will move. But the main campus of the university, for expansion, we have 173 hectares of land there. It's for the continuous, endless expansion of Godfrey Okoye University. There's no end to the expansion. A university can be up to 100,000 students, can have.
Yes.
So when you have about 173 hectares of land, then you are qualified to accommodate 50 to 100,000 students. And that we are indeed qualified. That is the future.
Yes. So I want to ask something that's usually not, I wouldn't say it's not given that much attention, but it's not always spoken about. That is when it comes to student support and mentorship. What exactly is Godfrey doing when it comes to counseling students, mentoring them, even being interested in their mental health and their capabilities, their welfare, under academic pressure in the school setting?
Very good. That's a very good question. We have counseling units in our psychology department. We have counseling units. But then, above all, every student of the university has a mentor. Okay? Yes. Once you're a student, you have a mentor, and you have to be interacting with your mentor. And when your case is beyond your mentor, then of course, there's a counseling unit you have to go to. But you have a mentor. Nobody stands here and is not connected with someone else. So that's the way it works. So from your first year, you get somebody who is your mentor, and you're meeting with the mentor. And every year, we get a report from the mentor about you, about your performance and all that.
Each and every student.
Every student here. And if you don't have mentorship report, then you're in trouble. You cannot be anonymous in Godfrey Okoye University. You cannot. There's no anonymity in Godfrey Okoye University. We have to know you. And if you make yourself a dark horse, then we'll try to have some interaction with you. Okay?
So it's being followed strictly. All the students have mentors.
And there's directorates for it. Mentorship directorate. Yeah. That organizes that.
So what other factors do you put in measure to make sure that these people stay motivated? And then all the technological devices that are made available to them, how do they use it?
Yeah, first of all, how they stay motivated, that's one question. we have a competition we call Vice Chancellor for one day. That's how to motivate students academically. Vice Chancellor for one day is a student with the highest CGPA, cumulative grade point average in a year. And when you become Vice Chancellor for one day, you take over the office of the Vice Chancellor. The Vice Chancellor's official convoy with all the police officers attached to the Vice Chancellor will go to the hospital to pick up and bring you to the office of the Vice Chancellor. Your parents will come, your local government chairman, sometimes you're taken to the governor of the state. You're Vice Chancellor for one day. That's a very prestigious position. Okay, everybody looks forward to it, to become Vice Chancellor for one day. And then when you become the overall best, you are put in the Hall of Fame of Godfrey Okoye University. A lot of prizes running to millions that you get. And you keep getting competitions where things that actually encourage you. Prizes, well, a lot of prizes. Our students win a lot of prizes. I can tell you that in a year, you get a student winning up to 3 million, 4 million.
Interesting.
Yes, in different prizes.
Wow. The Vice Chancellor for one day, does the person get to make decisions?
Yes.
That day?
Yeah, make a decision.
And
yes.
Done?
Yeah, well, it's like for the when you finish your tenure.
I think I want to go back to school.
The substantive Vice Chancellor will have to decide. But you make decisions. People come to you, call me and all that. And then you do everything. I'm not in the office. I'm not Vice Chancellor that day. And you address the Senate of the university. You address all the students, and you can go around the ENUGU with the official convoy. All the police officers of this are attached to you. Okay, that's something prestigious. So that's where to. And then using the IT, of course, they take the facilities we have. We will try to encourage students. Of course, the teachers in the classroom, and the different things we do, encourage them to use. We have exams that are taken online. For example, you have to, like a GCSP, General Computer Test and Examination is done online and all that. So it's not a problem for students of the generation to use these tech things, because that's their word. So yeah, I don't think they need persuasion to use that. What they don't like is not using what can actually facilitate their studies.
That is true. Yeah. Now, looking at the global competitiveness, I mean, I would like to speak on a general note and then also specifically to Godfrey Okoye as well. How would you say that Nigerian private universities, rank both in Africa and globally when it comes to academic quality, and then Godfrey Okoye as well?
Yeah, you can say the ranking. Ranking is not something. Say Times just a ranking system, higher education ranking, which is prestigious. In terms of higher education system, we are ranked #1 in Nigeria from staff-student ratio. Godfrey Okoye is ranked #1. General ranking will still be out. You will say, when you look at Times higher education, you say private universities in the first 20 categories, at least 4 or 5 universities, I got from Okoye University, were there. So I think the private mission institutions are doing well in terms of academic ranking, staff mix by rank, and every other category of ranking. Doing incredibly well. You see, when you look at Covenant, it's always coming first in many of the rankings and all that. And our university, Babcock, and the others that are doing well. So don't forget also it's about number publications. UNN will have thousands of publications because they have over 2,000 lecturers. Yeah. Okay, so when you put everything, even if it's one publication for one lecturer, you have over 2,000 publications. So not just the facility, but also publications.
Okay, so looking ahead, and we are almost rounding up with today's show. Looking ahead, what do you see and where do you see the future of the private universities, especially in Nigeria, and that of Godfrey Okoye?
I think Professor Mafiana of the NUC, former Deputy Executive Secretary, said it. The future of this country is private university. The future of Nigeria is private universities. He said it very clearly, and I believe that. I want public institutions to continue to do well. I want that because not everybody would like to go to private institutions. But the private institution must be driving everything, just like the private sector. In many countries of the world, it is the private sector that drives society. That private institution must be doing this. Private institutions or mission institutions cannot take all the students. How many? How many students can they absorb? Nigeria, every year, about 2 million Nigerians write JAMB. They need to go to university. And Nigeria grows by 4 to 7 million every year. So we need more institutions. But we need institutions that will be driving others. Institutions that can be role models for others. Where you can say, go to private Godfrey Okoye University and see what they're doing there. Institutions that can call the shot in aesthetics, in harmony, in orderliness, in commitment, in resilience, in discipline, in moral soundness. We need such institutions. Okay?
That is quite a lot. But I mean, I hope in the future, we'll have all of this pushing forward. Yeah, thank you so much for this lovely, lovely conversation, Professor Anyeke.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you. God bless you.
We are local.
The international community is observing
Just finished the Right, the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion and the mandate say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Hello and welcome to another interesting episode of From the Correspondent on Signature TV, where we bring you stories and conversation for our own team of correspondents. I am Emmanuel Tewasi. On our lineup today, we have, during a lecture in Abuja, a former Minister of Information, Chief Naya Nwode, warned that Nigeria is on a dangerous path of internal decay due to neglected infrastructure, education and agriculture, and called for a radical change to prevent its collapse. Then, followed by a book launch, The Bubbles of Nigerian Democracy and the Wadata Wonders, Memories of a Partisan Journalist in Abuja, which transformed into a critical discussion on Nigeria's democratic and governance failures. Journalists in ENUGU have condemned the closure of Badegi Radio in Niger State by Governor Muhammad Bago, calling the action an assault on the press freedom and urging him to reopen the station. Then we'll look at ENUGU State's Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure has warned contractors whose smart school structures fail integrity tests that they would face legal actions, though he confirmed that the schools are still on track to reopen in September. Then finally, we'll look at 3 men who were arraigned at the ENUGU North Magistrate Court on a 7-count charge, including conspiracy, murder, and kidnapping, stemming from an alleged crime committed since April 26, 2025. All these and more will come your way after this break. Please stay with us.
Every second, every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Nigeria is bleeding from the inside. Its roads are broken, its schools are class institutions, and its farms neglected. But what happens when a nation continues on this path, refusing to self-correct? In a thought-provoking lecture, a former Minister of Information and Elder Statesman, Chief Naya Nwodo, painted a sobering picture of the Nigerian state in Abuja. Let's take a look at that report.
Nwodo said Nigeria loses over $1 billion annually due to poor road infrastructure. But the real cost is in the damaged goods, delayed ambulance, stranded farmers, and lives lost because the nation's arteries, its roads, which are clogged from years of neglect.
A 2022 report by the World Bank estimated that Nigeria loses about $1 billion annually due to poor road infrastructure. Bad roads slow down emergency responses. Ambulances, police patrols, and even military find it difficult to access volatile areas.
In agriculture, the damage is worse. 40% of food produced in Nigeria, he says, never gets to the market, wasted due to insecurity and bad roads. Nwodo proposes a road army of unemployed youths and engineers to fix this, boost local economies, and reduce crime.
The Nigerian Stored Products Institute even estimates that up to 40% of food produced in the country never reaches the final consumer, likely due to transportation and logistics challenges. We have very qualified Nigerian engineers and youths who can be transformed into a road army. This road army should be equipped by joint funding of local government, states, and federal government.
But the story doesn't end on the road or in the farms. It continues in the schools, where inequality festers and same generations are set apart, children of the rich and those of the poor. Nwodo recalls a time when children of politicians and farmers sat in the same classroom. Now the divide is sharp. Schools for the rich, schools for the poor. He warns that this divide will only deepen societal resentment and possibly a violent revolution in the future.
In the education sector, a clear divide of schools for the wealthy families and schools for the poor families has come to see. This tendency breeds deep and growing sense of deprivation and bitterness that is likely to affect the relationship amongst this generation of our children. Notwithstanding the level of intelligence of a rich man's child, his child must go to a very good school or a very expensive school. Sometimes the admission is bought.
It's not just a class divide in education. Modo says even the university system and appointments into government are now riddled with compromise and patronage, eroding merit and patriotism. From professors who struggle to speak English to ministers who simply take a bow without proper scrutiny. Modo says Nigeria has abandoned the values of excellence, merit, and service.
Merit in our country has disappeared in appointments, in elections, and lately in award of university degrees. Sometimes you meet a professor who can hardly speak good English, and you begin to wonder how he wrote his thesis. He or she probably monetized the process. The worst situation is to find a minister who has been the equivalent of a director and who has never been the equivalent of a director in a ministry, or whose educational qualification and exposure is obtained in compromising circumstances.
To save the country, Chief Wodo offers a simple but radical path forward: restructure, refocus, and return power to the people. He proposes that local governments and regions take control of their resources, invest in agriculture, digital education, and enforce security independently. He draws inspiration from the Netherlands, smaller than Niger State, yet the second largest exporter of food globally. Wodo says Nigeria can do better if it embraces mechanized agriculture, empowers youth, and builds a constitution that truly reflects the will of the people.
There was only one reason why things worked so well there. We had a regional system of government that allowed regions to enjoy sovereignty over their natural resources whilst paying royalties and taxes to the federal government. Nigeria must restructure and give its component units sovereignty over its natural resources, provided they pay royalty or some form of taxation to the federal government to maintain federal responsibilities.
From broken roads to broken systems, one thing is clear: Nigeria's future cannot wait. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zadima for Signature TV.
What was supposed to be a book launch turned into an autopsy of Nigeria's democracy. At the unveiling of two books, The Bubbles of Democracy and The Wadata Experience, memories of a partisan journalist, politicians, thought leaders and authors did not mince words in dissecting Nigeria's governance failure and democratic contradictions. Let's take a look at what happened at that event.
Former PDP National Chairman Prince Uche Secondus, who welcomed guests to the event, declared that Nigeria has lost the essence of democracy. According to him, what exists are mere political platforms designed to grab power, not vehicles of people-driven governance. He warned that the country, under the current administration of President Bola Tinubu, is teetering on the brink of liquidation. Without the birth of a truly democratic political party, he said today's youth will inherit nothing meaningful from the current system.
Our country is gradually moving in the wrong direction to a place where you can say in liquidation, presided over by Bola Tinubu. We don't have democracy in our country. There's no. What we have is platform for winning election.
That diagnosis of impending failure killed Labour Party presidential candidate in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, to a deeper sense of gloom. Obi said that Nigeria's democracy is experiencing a rot, not rooted in PDP's failures, but in a broader culture of poor leadership and misplaced priorities. He said a nation's progress is determined by where it invests, particularly in health, education, and agriculture.
What differentiates a successful nation and a failed one is the choices you make, your priorities. Are you investing in the critical areas of development, health, education, and pulling your people out of poverty? Are you doing the right thing?
Chief Inyan Wodo, former President General of Ohaneze Indigo, who was a keynote speaker, described the country's crisis as the outcome of structural collapse. He blamed the situation on the 1999 military-imposed constitution, the erosion of meritocracy, and a crumbling infrastructure network. Wodo called for urgent restructuring, regional resource control, and a return of value-based leadership, Without these reforms, he warned Nigeria risks a constitutional breakdown before the 2027 elections.
We have very qualified Nigerian engineers and youths who can be transformed into a road army. This road army should be equipped by joint funding of local government, states, and federal government. There is an army of unemployed Nigerian youths who can play this role patriotically and efficiently, saving our state and federal governments loads of scarce resources.
Author of the books, Ike Aboyi, said one of the books, Wadata Wonders, interrogates the struggles of running a political party in Nigeria. He identified poor funding as the #1 challenge, pointing out that even ruling APC is essentially a one-man structure, bankrolled by governors and power players. Without proper funding mechanisms and ideological clarity, he said political parties in Nigeria cannot grow or sustain democracy.
The problem of the political party, including the ruling party, is funding, because they allow government to fund it, allow ordinary people to fund it. So that is the problem. It's the biggest problem. Funding. Until they find the solution to funding, then nobody will be the kingmaker. The people who are the owners of the party will not be the kingmaker.
Also speaking, Dr. Abo Emmanuel, who represented the chairman of PDP Governors Forum Bauchi State, Governor Bala Muhammad, reinforced the funding problem, saying political parties in Nigeria lack stable financing and are driven by individual ambition rather than collective ideology. He argued that until parties are defined by principles and clear visions, people will neither believe in nor invest in them.
The reigning party is not a party. The APC is just a one-man effect. The PDP, the Labour Party, that essentially are supposed to be opposition parties, we are living witnesses to all that they have had to go through in recent times. We must first of all build our parties along very strict lines of what does a party stand for? What does it represent?
To build sustainable long parties, you have to have the discipline to stay to build your party. You cannot be the ones who hop from one platform to the other and then still be the same one who wonder why you're not building political parties that last. All of those parties that have lasted so many years, they lasted so many years because whatever the situation that they were enduring or they were facing, they understood that the responsibility of leaders is to build, to reform, to stand and repair in view that they are building a platform that can be passed on.
Writing books such as these requires not just an intellectual journey through history. It demands courage, discipline, and a certain moral conviction. I also wish to commend the author for promising to direct part of the proceeds from these books to the Ichaporoko Foundation.
From searing critics to bold calls for reform, the event was a mirror held up to Nigeria's democracy and a reminder for a change to happen. Political will must be backed by structure, ideology, and national conscience. In Abuja, I am Chimize Zedima for Signature TV.
Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. You're still watching From the Correspondent on Signature TV. Journalists in ENUGU State have condemned the closure of the private radio station in Niger State by Degi Radio on the orders of the state government, Governor Muhammad Bago. The journalists who spoke to Signature TV described the action of the governor as draconian, a suppressive of press freedom and an affront on democracy. They called on the governor to immediately unseal the radio station and allow it to resume full operations while advising the organization to seek legal redress. Let's take a look at the report.
It's unfortunate that even the leaders don't understand what democracy is all about, especially the government of Nigeria. They don't understand that there is what we call freedom of speech. So the journalists have every right to relate or integrate with the society, people out there. to know their view in some things happening in the government, and also to publish whatever information they have gathered from the people. Because until you relate and integrate with the masses, you may not know the challenges that the masses are suffering. Government knows the truth, but yet they don't want to believe in the truth. They don't want people to speak out. They don't want people to say their mind. They want us to be smiling even when they are oppressing us. So that is why I think the attack on the media people, that is the reason they don't want people to know they are evil. They don't want people to know what they are doing that is not right.
Why is that government spreading a radio station? What are they talking about? So personally, what I would think that should happen is, if you feel disturbed by whatever a radio station or any media organization as such is talking about, I think the right thing to do is, one, you either go to court or you give us your own side to what that organization is talking about. Not resorting to threat. Resorting to threat means is either you're guilty or you wouldn't want the public to hear the truth.
The federal government, the state government, they have no right. No local government, they don't have rights. The NBC has the sole right to regulate, to punish any offender, or to even license radio stations in Nigeria. So it's a constitutional matter. So it came to us as a surprise that the sitting governor issued that kind of threat. He even said that he's going to demolish the building and the premises of that radio station. It's unconstitutional, and we're not going to take it. Press freedom is a constitutional matter. It is not something that anybody can come and issue any statement and threat, not minding your position. So as far as I'm concerned, that threat alone is unconstitutional, like I said. It has violated the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And as a media practitioner and a leader of union in the whole country, our national president has also already issued a statement to this effect. And down here at the state level, we are condemning it, and we are calling on the governor of Niger State to quickly rephrase that statement and make a public apology on the media.
Contractors building smart schools in Enugu whose structures fail integrity tests or are demolished for structural defects will face legal sanctions. The State Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Ben Oko, who stated this in an exclusive interview with Signature TV, assured that the September deadline for the takeoff of smart schools remain sacrosanct.
The Smart Schools project, which was launched with fanfare at the inception of the Peter Mbas administration, is no doubt a bold vision by the Enugu state government to transform public education through technology-driven education infrastructure. The schools are designed to deliver modern classrooms equipped with digital learning tools, digital facilities, libraries, laboratories, power systems, medical clinics, and integrated smart farms. While some of the schools have progressed to near completion ahead of the September takeoff date, which is just weeks away, the reality on ground is far from the promise. Though the government maintains that the first batch of smart schools will be ready by the new school term, there are growing calls for transparency and, more importantly, safety before the doors are opened to students. At several project sites visited across the state, what stands are incomplete buildings, some still at foundation levels or just cleared sites. More disturbing are some worrying cases or signs of structural failure. The Enugu state government recently demolished a smart school at Mbu in Isi Uzo local government area, citing substandard work and structural defects. There was also a sorry site at Achi Unowo 2, Amankunato Achi in Oji River local government area, which left the President General of the Town Union, Celestine Ilo, and an engineer from the community. Augustine Ikekbeazu visibly disgusted with what they saw at the site.
I decided to come back here. I was here on Friday with town union executives, and we came here to ascertain the level of work, progress of work. We were here on Friday. Nobody was on site. We called the engineer. He was making his own explanations, which was not understandable to anybody.
He was making noise.
But he making noise, claiming that the blocks he's using, look at the kind of blocks somebody is using to build schools. These things on their own. This is sand. This is sand. This thing have been here for the past. I was here on Friday.
Hey,
this is pure sand.
Yeah.
This is sand. This is just sand.
Where do I start? The block work is crumbling under its own weight where it is stacked. It's crumbling under its own weight where it is stacked. What when you now load it in the building? What will happen? The thickness of the block, the actual is supposed to be concrete area of the block, is much thinner than the standard specifications. Where do you want to start talking? Is it the sand? Anytime you touch the block, all you're seeing is block crumbling with one hand. Not, I didn't hit it, I just touched it. I just touched it. So what do we say about this? What do we say about this? Why won't it crumble when there is no specifications, no quality control?
Observers say poor supervision and haste to meet political timelines may be compromising the integrity of the project. But Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, Ben Osita-Oko, whose ministry supervises the project, says shoddy jobs will be met with sanctions.
You know, it takes a state a government that is very serious after, investing huge amount of money in a project, and you discover that this project, maybe the contractor didn't stick to the specifications or terms of the contract to bring it down. Because in everything we are doing, we are very conscious of one thing. We are conscious of safety. So we have also gone ahead to, put into our guidelines that any contractor that is doing any work in Enugu State must provide practicing licenses of professionals relevant to that work he is doing. If it's a building work, you have to get practicing licenses of architects, structural engineers, electrical, mechanical engineers that are we are going to profile these people. We are going to see them. It's not just to drop their credential, their practicing license and go away.
Some Enugu residents have also been speaking on their impression about the new learning infrastructure, which is supposed to be going on in all the 260 wards in Enugu State.
They said September we are going to start that school. I'm doubting. That comes to a question. Even if you are starting the school, what about the smart teachers that are going to man this school? Because a smart school goes with smart teachers. So if you are bringing a smart school and you are bringing analog teachers, it's not complete. So have they been able to train the smart teachers that will man this school? That is the question. If they are going to train them from now to September, that would be magic.
In a situation where you have about 260 structures ongoing, completed, and then one or two, has been shown to have structural defects, and as a result, government, the original authors of same project, decided to pull it down. I think it was a good decision. It was done, it was something that was done, to actually show that the government is also responsive and responsible.
The smart school is very good, but looking at the situation of the country, if the governor of Enugu State, Dr. Barrister Peter Mba, had do it in such a way that one smart school and one technical school in one local government, it would have been better than flooding the whole world to one school. What for?
Works and Infrastructure Commissioner insists that the September opening date remains sacrosanct.
Just watch out and see what will happen. We are not leaving any stone unturned. We are working on that, and we are going to, by the special grace of God, by September, most of the schools are going to be on for our children to start using them.
The Smart Schools initiative is part of a broader vision to transform Enugu's education sector into a globally competitive and locally relevant system. And with billions of naira committed and expectations running high, the success or failure of the Smart School project could define the Mba administration's impact on education. Christopher Lele, reporting for Signature TV.
You're still watching from the correspondent on Signature TV. The magistrate courts in Enugu North, Enugu State, arraigned suspected criminal Levi Obieze, Sebastian Okafor, and Odiwang Ejike on 3 count charges of conspiracy, murder, and kidnap under a 7-count charge starting from 26 April 2025. Although the suspects pleaded not guilty, the case was adjourned to 20th August for the next year. Let's take a look at that report.
Obieze and the 2 other defendants, Sebastian Ofo and Odiwangba Ejike, were arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Court presided over by O.S. Chukwuani on 7 different counts. The case stemmed from a shocking discovery on May 26, 2025, when vigilantes and community members rescued a 13-year-old girl kidnapped from Umuajo village. A search of Obieze's compound revealed 2 decomposing bodies, reportedly of pregnant women buried in sockaway pits. The Enugu State-based native doctor Obi Obieze, who was arrested at the Gbaji checkpoint along the Badagry-Seme Expressway in an attempt to flee the country, was arraigned in court before the Chief Magistrate, O.S. Chukwuani. The charges against the 3 defendants border on conspiracy, kidnap, and murder. The 3 defendants pleaded not guilty to the charges, while the case was adjourned to the 20th of August. The court declined jurisdiction and ordered that the suspect be remanded at the Correctional Center pending the opinion of the Attorney General of the state. Counsel to the 2nd defendant, Alex Amujogu, at the court explained the legal implications of the pronouncement by the magistrate and the next line of action.
So we are worried that they have been detained more than 2 months after arrest and detention. And we now raise an alarm that because they have been there for 2 months, and the police are under obligation and under a mandate by order of commandants and the court of prosecute and release suspects if they don't find any charges. We are today the police in their wisdom and finally find the police on offense, orders of kidnapping and murder and others. The magistrate today also in their wisdom also made an order.
Joshua Eje, media aide to the governor, Peter Mba, maintained that the Enugu state government is taking the matter seriously and frowns at all forms of crime in the state.
We all saw the counts against the defendants, and the court actually denied the jurisdiction given the gravity of the alleged offenses, kidnapping, murder, and conspiracy. Of course, the magistrate court does not have the jurisdiction to hear a matter bordering on kidnapping. So what the magistrate mainly did was to hand over the case to the High Court, and the magistrate is also seeking the legal opinion of the Attorney General of Enugu State. So one thing is sure is that the administration of Governor Peter Mba has zero tolerance for crime, any form of criminality, and anyone involved in crime in Enugu State will be caught. So it is an assurance. It's not a threat, it's a promise. Anyone involved. So, and this is a strong message to would-be offenders that the state is coming for them and they will be apprehended. They will be dealt with in line with the law. Justice will take its course.
Christopher Lele, reporting for Signature TV.
Quite a pathetic situation. So many questions to ask and a lot of answers demanded as regard regarding this issue. But Christopher Lele, our correspondent who is the brain behind this report, will be joining me shortly after this break to discuss this particular incident, among other issues. Stay with us. The program continues shortly.
Every minute, every day, news is breaking, events occur, and there are new developments. At Signature TV, we follow these stories objectively, bringing all sides without bias, explaining the complex issues, breaking down the numbers, and investigating the issues behind the news. Anywhere and everywhere, near or far, wherever the news is, we will be there. Signature TV. News in your pocket.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, this is from the correspondent on Signature TV. As I told you earlier, here we unbox the experiences behind the stories that meet your information need. And today with me in the studio is one of our correspondents, Christopher Lele. Christopher is the brain behind the story we just watched on the smart school in Enugu State, and that of the celebrity ritualist in Enugu State, Obieze, popularly known as Ide Show. Christopher, you're welcome to the program.
Thank you so much. It's always nice to be here.
All right. It happens that you appearing again. When I was going through the reports I had, I saw your name all through. So it's like you own the week.
It was a busy week. Okay. It's still a busy week. As you can see, I'm still having my apparatus on for another target. You know?
All right. So a lot of reports, even though we're just able to capture about 2 or 3 for the program. But I know these reports would have garnered a lot of experience on the field. I don't know if we should start with what we have or just pick from one of those that actually got to you personally. Talking about the report on Smart School having to go around and inspect the project with the controversies on the contractors doing inferior jobs and all of that. What did you discover on the field?
That very job, that very report actually, it's exciting, and also I don't know the word to use to qualify the other angle of it. It's exciting and concerning as well. Right? The exciting part of it is the green school. Now, these green schools, they are going to change a lot of things. There will be employment, for those that are not employed, and for those that are employed, it will, upgrade. I don't know if I should say the salary or the environment. If you're in a normal school, struggling and managing, and then somehow you find yourself, accepted, like taken, to this very one, somehow you just get yourself elevated somehow to a better place. That is for that part of it. Then another angle we can also look at is the angle of the improvement on the education sector, right, in Enugu State. That's the part that is very, very important, because at the end of the day, many students will, gather a lot of knowledge and skills as well, because there will be skills in the school. There will also be, smart laboratories and different advanced, systems will come in for these students. And it's going to be a big one. But the side that becomes worrisome, troubling, is when these schools' structures begin to collapse. Although the demolition was ordered by the state government.
There's a story which says the one in is it Mbo in Isuzu was claimed to be demolished by the state government. Then another one in Ochi River local government, which the PG and someone from that area went there. In the video, we could see them breaking the blocks with their bare hands to show that those are inferior blocks. And you look at the weight of distance. This is not just a bungalow, even if it is a bungalow. This is more like a story building or two, and you have your children right inside this building, and God forbid
anything of such happens.
Something happens,
Yeah.
you know. So it's concerning that in a bid to meet political timeline, we have this such of a thing happening. But then again, I know you went around, you also spoke to government officials. What did you find out on the part of government concerning this quality of jobs that are now collapsing?
Yeah, I wish I could work with that feed of thoughts, meeting political timeline, which many people assume it is. But I want to believe that I don't want to believe the government is under any form of pressure to meet up all the schools at a particular time. Yeah, but then again, just like you mentioned, the Commissioner for Works and Infrastructure, that's Benno Sitako, he clearly mentioned and he maintained that school is expected to resume. The schools, the green schools, right? They're expected to resume September.
Okay.
Even if many people are still concerned, because most of the schools are still under construction.
Yet to be completed.
Yes, and then some are still, you know, foundation level. Is it about the one at Mbu that you mentioned?
Yes.
That the sand, you just don't want to go there, you know. But then again, I think with what they're having on ground right now, they're going to work with the schools available to resume. While the ones that are yet to join them, they will just keep working on them till all the schools are together working. But then again, what happens to those areas that were demolished? When these people carry out their contracting work, were there any supervisory body to cross-check them? Because you know, it is more like a common African knowledge, Nigerian thing, that government properties are not always looked after. You know, it's always for the highest bidder. You know, if the contractor is going to take less, you know, they'll always give it to you, and anybody can just do anything. Once you paint the walls, you're good to go.
Well, I think another angle I hope you would maybe give us throw more light to is if you were able to meet the contractors. I don't know, because of the timing of your report. If not, then we would love to know if the contractors were adequately funded. Then also know why, for those that handled the ones that collapsed, why did they use inferior materials to do this kind of project? Then maybe we can get to understand. But from, you know, I'm expecting you spoke to the Commission of Works, so I know he might have said a lot of things.
Yeah, he
so
said quite a lot.
Just for us to understand, what is their stand? They said they demolished the one at Mpo, yeah, but how about the one in Algeria? What about it?
All right. So unfortunately, I didn't get to meet any of the contractors on site, you know, when these things happened. But then again, the conversation we had with the commissioner, he clearly mentioned that those people use substandard work tools, substandard equipment, substandard materials, and that cannot be condoned in Enugu State.
All right.
And then they were going to face sanctions, as clearly stated in the contract. You get. But then again, I remember I asked, was it because of funds that this happened? But I won't be surprised if that question was not really giving good answer to, because if it was for funds, I don't think they will come out to mention it was for funds. But then again, the commissioner did not mention that it was for funds. He did not mention. So I want to believe it wasn't because of funds. I believe maybe the contractor didn't just do the great job that he's supposed to do.
Okay. With what you just said, there's still a loophole until we get to hear from the contractor. Then we can actually
really balance it and know exactly.
Exactly. So
we have to visit the site again when the job is going on, or we still have to press the commissioner by calls, more interviews.
That's why you're an investigative journalist. So
of course, we'll be on the run again on that.
People don't know what we go through to make sure that they stay informed. But let's move our attention to the sad incident that happened in Niger State, where the state governor shut down a radio station for some reasons best known to him. And only the NBC is believed to have that right to regulate a media establishment or outlet. You know, these sparked a lot of reactions. And I remember you also went around to talk to Enugu residents and all of that. So personally, I would like to get a standpoint from Enugu residents,
Okay.
then what you also went through in putting that together.
All right, the Badagi Radio FM in Mina.
Yes,
yes, and then it was a threat from the government to shut down the radio station. You know, once the government makes a threat, somehow it's enforced, even if it's a threat. You get. Although different stakeholders have come out to, you know, to condemn such threats because of the effect it has on press. You know, if you are having a challenge with a particular platform, you know, pass through the right channel. You know, the NBC should be the one to shut down and sue and punish and do whatever it should do. You know, these things have different umbrella they are under. Just like the government, you know, if you have any issues with anything, they ask you to go to courts. You know, you won't take the law into your hands and stuff. That was exactly what happened. But then again, at the end of the day, with all the confrontation from the NUJ and from different stakeholders condemning the act, somehow I think that has been resolved from that end.
Okay.
Even in Enugu State here, we went to the NUJ office as well to also get his thoughts regarding this, because we're all media personnel, and then we know how it feels when, you know, we are shut out from information. This is a platform that is supposed to give out information, you know, and how would people really stand and say the truth if they are afraid of threats? That notwithstanding, I'm not of the opinion that media houses or media personalities should say things that will incite fights or some kind of threats in a state or something.
Well, even at that, it is believed that there are legal procedures one should follow up in terms of in cases where you have somebody infringe on your right. So yeah, as a state government, I believe there should be something to a process that would get somebody first of all, they invite you for questioning and all. So I think there are laid down procedures for this, but not to just shut down a media station, believing the media to be the fourth estate of the realm, and at the end treating them like adopted child is quite terrible. Well, let's
deviate. Let me just deviate for a second. I think that's why many people are scared to even have state police, because once you have state police, many people are of the opinion that it becomes the pockets of the government of that state.
Exactly.
They will just use you for their own purpose, for their own good. So now, if you, as the governor of a state and a media platform or whatever institution they're doing things wrongly or the way they're not supposed to, you follow the right channel. You are a mentor, a role model. You live by example. But when you are not, you are now like a tyrant to the people and institutions in that very environment.
All right, so Christopher, you on the show for today. Let's look at another of your reports on the Levy or Bieze issue. Levy was in court a few days ago for the first time after like 2 months. You know, there have been a lot of conspiracy theories concerning his detention, long detention, because there were conspiracy theories of they're looking for a way to allow him escape and all of that, and to the extent of people started writing petition, and someone who confided in us also explained that it was due to this fact that they had to hurriedly bring him to take him to court just to start a legal process. You were there. I don't know, you were not here when we had this case, the first time we had this case, but haven't followed up on this issue. What are the new revelations concerning this particular case?
For all the reports this week, that was one of the reports that got to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because you know what the Bible says, the heart of man is full of evil and stuff. if you had gone through the reports, you will see that the man, when he was in the court, he was relaxed. Obieze was at peace. Look at him. He's okay, like normal, relaxed. Doesn't look like anyone that has any issue. I don't think he was scared of being sentenced to death or scared of anything. Or if he had maybe a plan B. Yeah, as I was even there, just like all those prison break, I did fear to make one people not just come here, scatter this place, carry this guy out. Because the way he was relaxed, it then dawned on me how one could be, you know, and the amount of crime you committed, that it's almost nothing to you. It's part of you. And then he pleaded not guilty to all the allegations, so to speak, all the claims, everything. He pleaded not guilty, and it's a big deal. And also, I got to find out that a majority of the people in that court that day were for him. Yeah, because when I looked, there are other court houses too that people were also high hearing cases. It's always scanty. It's just the people of the defendants, or the people of the victims, or whatever that were being called. But then again, this very one, people were there, and they're not just news people. Even if we have a lot of media houses there, not just journalists were there. They were individuals. They were just curious to see this face.
You know, you said something, and I was just, for a moment, I was carried away. Not because I was distracted, but I was thinking, you know, the weight of this issue, where they even had a young student who went to write WAEC and was murdered, that the whole school had to kneel down and pray for him, where the community even had to do cleansing and all of that. Then getting to court, he said it's not guilty.
It's not.
You know, it for me, I feel it's just a language you have to speak in court, because I believe your lawyers will tell you don't that.
Yeah, because the idea is, as long as you are not caught red-handed, you are not guilty. But often in this compound, when they ransacked the compound, even skulls, dead bodies, and then out of some of the investigations they carried out, they found out that some of the dead bodies were pregnant women.
Yeah, there was a woman that was pregnant, I think, from what.
And then the 30-year-old child girl that was screaming and brought the attention of others.
I think that was the one that broke the camel's back, you know. So from what happened in court that day, what is next concerning this case?
20th should be around the corner.
Okay,
we'll get back and really know how it's going. We had the media aid of the governor that was on ground, saying that justice must be served.
Okay.
And then there's no room for any criminality in Enugu State. So according to the media aid to the governor, he said, if you were thinking of you are one, you better hide or run or stop, because justice will catch up with you. And that was relieving to know. But then again, the question is, it's not just when cases like this happen that you see government personalities come in and flex their power. These are could it be because this is out there, people are aware of it, that's why you're picking interest and making your own?
Not to sound like a government spokesman, but I know the Enugu State government have made frantic efforts to address security challenges in the state. But then again, you know, you said the media aid to the governor emphasized the need for justice and all of that. But when I was analyzing this issue, I discovered that he was taken to a magistrate court. And from what I also learned, that the magistrate court don't have jurisdiction to hear a case concerning murder or rape. You know, it should be taken to a higher court. Then one would ask, if justice would be served as they claim, if this case is following the right path that it should be followed, why did they first go to the magistrate court?
There are also some things that at the moment judges are not sitting. So I don't know. I want to believe. I think it has to be a way they go about it. Maybe it's a plan B thing within the jurisdiction. You know, if you don't have the person that's supposed to, you can come in for the person, so the case can actually move on, to the appropriate quarters. Maybe that's what happened.
All right, thank you so much, Christopher. I've been with Christopher Lele, who we have been looking at most of his reports for our program today. About 3 of them were done by him, and many more which we couldn't include in this episode because of time. Thank you so much for always coming and answering my call whenever I...
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
All right. So we will be looking at a case, a familiar case, but not too common around this area. Hadiza Musa Bafa has accused Kabiru Tamino, a former Nigerian minister, of years of sexual abuse, emotional manipulation, and forced abortions, alleging he exploited her under the pretense of supporting her education. A DNA test confirmed that Turaki asked the father of her daughter with 99.9% probability. Hadiza Turaki, I beg your pardon, Kabiru Turaki, was charged with the charges of deceit, adultery, and intimidation as of February 2025. But the shock containers, since then, we have not heard anything about this issue until recent, where on Twitter people started this campaign about justice for Hadiza. And this is a case too many of how some wealthy and connected individuals violate the rights of many Nigerians without any consequences. Let's continue this campaign and hope that this time around justice will be served for Hadiza, and we will not rest. I call on all Nigerians, well-meaning Nigerians, to while we are yet to understand the get the full details and situation surrounding this whole sad issue. Let's continue to champion the cause for what is right. And this is where we'll wrap it up for this episode. I am Emmanuel Teosen. Thank you so much for staying with me until I come your way next week. Stay informed and bye for now.
We are local.
The international community is observing every...
Just finished the Why the main market is in chaos. People are...
We are national.
Those in support of this motion as amended, say aye. Aye.
We have taken the vote by default.
We are international.
Israeli airstrikes.
Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens, one that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.
Signature TV, news in your pocket.